Hello and welcome to our live coverage of Act 2 of the Sailing Champions League. We're live for the climax of Act 2 on this Sunday here in one of the most famous and exclusive alpine resorts in Switzerland. Yes, we're in St. Moritz. It's provided an absolutely stunning backdrop. We had a little bit of snow yesterday and a lot more snow up in the higher mountains. We're at 1,800 meters and it is absolutely fabulous. And we'll talk about conditions on the lake very shortly. But Marcus Bauer, as always, joins me to look at all the data analytics coming off the boat and analyse and explain what is going on to us. And yeah, we had a good day's racing yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit untypical for that time of year. Last year in December, they didn't have snow for skiing, and now we had snow at the beginning of September. That is very unusual. And it was raining down here on the lake, so it wasn't the most beautiful weather, but it was good sailing conditions. And the lake is a great lake to sail on, especially with this kind of racing format. And we had 4 flights yesterday, so a stunning performance from an Austrian team. Yeah. And it's going to carry on today with more sunshine.
Okay, so 24 teams are here in St. Moritz representing 11 different nations. And as we've said, it was a good day's racing yesterday. It was dominated by the Austrian team. So let's see what happened.
It started slow. Day 2 of the Sailing Champions League in St. Moritz needed a little warm-up. 3 degrees and snow rain. But then, the rain stopped, the fog lifted, and the wind picked up. And St. Moritz witnessed high-performance races, and the top teams of the best European sailing clubs battled for the lead. After 13 races, the Austrians from Segelclub Matze are ahead of the fleet.
I think it was just trying to get the first pressure on the race course and then just keep continuing climbing up the ladder between the patches and taking the right shifts. But it was really difficult, a lot of wind holes and strong shifts, so I think we really did a good job at that and super happy with our performance.
5 hours of live coverage with SAP Sailing Analytics and 70,000 live clicks on YouTube. What a mighty strong day. And there's more to come tomorrow, starting at noon. Live, the deciding day of the Sailing Champions League here in St. Moritz.
And I can confirm the steak that you saw, that lump of meat was made an absolutely delicious tender steak last night at the Sailors Barbecue. Right, let's bring you right up to date with the overall standings. Our overnight leaders from Sailing Club Matze are still very much in control. In fact, this morning, in the few races that we've had, they have extended their lead ahead of the Danes, Sail Club Hellerup, and in 3rd place, Royal Danish Yacht Club. So a poor start for the Swiss in 4th place. They started the morning in 2nd place, so we've seen them drop down after flight 6. But it's the top 14 here in St. Moritz who qualify for the Champions League final in Sardinia. So let's have a look at the bottom end of the table with the battle for 14th. Very, very close indeed. 4 teams on 27 points. So we'll be keeping our eyes very much peeled for that battle. We're joined in the studio by Martin Berthold, tourist manager of St. Moritz. And you've put on a great show, and so's nature.
So is nature, that's right. But what we are looking for is more wind at the moment. But with the weather conditions we had, with the rain yesterday, the cold and the sun changing, the wind is changing still from north to south, and that's life. We can't change the weather.
Yeah. We'll look a little bit more at the weather conditions we can expect today in more detail shortly. But I think for people tuning in for the first time, they might be surprised that St. Moritz is holding, a big event like this in summer, where St. Moritz is famous for winter sports, isn't it?
Yeah, but before winter sports, St. Moritz was famous for summer vacations till 1864. That time it was only summer, water as we have now here, and the lakes are very important to us. Now, still summer we have more guests coming into St. Moritz in the summertime, but the average is overnight is much lower. So we have more. What I said, more guests, but summer is very nice with all the lakes, and water sports is that important. So that's also the reason why we organize sailing events here on the Lake of St. Moritz. And I think the scenery with the village just nearby, and all the spectators can just walk by. I think it's a good arena.
Yes, it absolutely is, and Switzerland in general has a great pedigree in sailing as well, doesn't it? On Lake Le Mans, next to Geneva, and the only European team, the only European country to win the America's Cup. So people shouldn't be surprised that sailing is such a big sport in Switzerland. What makes the lake here in St. Moritz unique, however? Because it's obviously very different from the bigger lakes further down the valleys.
Make it special because when you just walk by, you can see the sailing, and you're very close to the event itself. So I think it's also good for spectators here. It's good for sailing. It's good for the sport, and it's good for St. Moritz to have activities on the lake. With the wind, with the people around, and we do have in summer we have mountaineering, we have mountain bike, a lot of mountain bike hiking, and but water sports makes it different on this altitude.
And there's obviously the Moya wind, it's called, Maloja wind, which is the typical wind blowing down this valley. And sailors know when you go to an event, it's usually never like this, is what the locals say. And we get that end this weekend. But I think the winds here in the Alps are very reliable, like the winds on Lake Garda, for example. And I'm sure next year, if we come back, there's going to be the conditions which are more typical. But even on a day like today and yesterday, I mean, yesterday it was raining, but still we could sail. So I think that's special about the Alps, that you get the wind blowing through the valleys, and that makes it sailable even with these confused offshore conditions.
That's right. And now, yes, we can't organize the wind, unfortunately, for the sailing, but maybe it's
You've organised plenty of fans, though, because you've got a grandstand right on the edge of the shore, and especially today, Sunday, a lot of people are just strolling past along the promenade here by the lake and stopping and going, there's a sailing race on, let's watch it. So
and here's some live images from the water, and we can see the snowy mountains in the background. One race has just started. We get into the race commentary soon, but we can see the beautiful scenery that this lake offers.
That's the difference. You see, you are in the mountains, you have snow, as we had yesterday. It's not unusual, but it's not every week we have snow, just sometimes in the summer. But altogether, it's a wonderful scenery today. For all the sailors I heard, they are quite happy. Not too much wind, but quite happy about the scenery, and also for the spectators around the lake.
I'll tell you another good thing you've done. You've created an amazing trophy for the winners, whoever that will be in a few hours' time here in St. Moritz. And it's designed, and we'll have some pictures of it there. It's absolutely fabulous. It weighs a ton, because I've tried to lift it. Glass and brass. But I think it reflects the location perfectly.
Perfectly. You see the mountains, about the same mountains you have seen now. It's the La Marnia behind, and it's a wonderful trophy design was made by Adriana Monk. And I think it's wonderful. When you see now in the picture, you see the mountains behind, the sun of St. Moritz, and the sailors in front. That's great.
Perfect. And designed by a lady who also did those amazing steering wheels for the boats of the last Volvo Ocean race. So, plenty of experience, plenty of pedigree on her side as well. So we'll look forward to finding out who it is that is going to lift that trophy very soon. And certainly the Austrian team from Matze are looking well placed. let's just have a look at the conditions on the water. Today's weather, we're expecting around about the same temperatures, maybe a little bit warmer than yesterday, and those low snow clouds have gone, so the sun is coming in and out. 6 knots of wind, and it's the northerly wind, so it's not the Maloya wind that we were talking about earlier on and that we were hoping for. So it's likely to be very shifty and fluky, but we'll get out on the water now. Our reporter, Tim Cruz, is there, so he's got a proper close-up look at what conditions are like. Tim.
Exactly. We've got the race officer just like yesterday. It's Thorsten Peech again. Thorsten, you started at 8:30. You had to cancel one race, is that right? And ever since then, it's just flowing by with very light winds.
Yeah, well, it's really, as yesterday, it's tricky. Luckily, it's not raining today, so I think the conditions are better than yesterday. But it's really very shifty on the wind perspective, and it's also going on. Wind speed is increasing and decreasing.
Yeah, we can see that. We've got the Windmaster there, and now it says 2.4. Just a minute ago, it showed 7.5. So it is very hard for the sailors and also very hard for you guys. But it is coming almost from the, shifty, but still from the same direction, right?
Yeah, partly, yeah. Besides 80 and 60 degrees shifts, it's mostly
northerly winds.
Somewhere from
northwest
the north.
easterly winds.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's really I think it's a challenge for the sailors as well as for us. And yeah, we will see what we can do today.
We must say that the conditions are much nicer than yesterday, because yesterday we had 3 degrees and snow rain. Everything was cloudy and foggy and we couldn't see anything. And now we see the mountains right around us and it's beautiful today. I saw you yesterday evening and you were exhausted. You could hardly walk. Is that right?
No.
Not because of the alcohol, just because we were so tired.
Yeah, it was a tough day yesterday and it was really very freezing because it was raining half the day. So I think today we could be lucky that we have a little bit of sun. So we enjoy it pretty much here. And I think the sailors enjoy it as well. So I hope we get up to 10, 11 flights today. Not in total, not today.
Yeah.
And let's see how it works.
As you say, Thorsten, look at this. The sun's out. We're happy now. We're getting a little warm after hours in the cold yesterday. It was really freezing cold. But now we're quite happy to be here and it's good conditions. The crew look good and happy and warmer than yesterday. So we're hoping for a great day.
Cold yesterday, Tim, that as soon as you got off the water, you had to go and have a hot shower.
That's right. Yeah, I went straight back to the hotel, had a hot shower for about half an hour, and then I felt a little better, and then we could start to produce the highlight film.
You stopped talking gibberish at that point and started making sense, yeah. So, all right, well, I'm glad the sun is shining for you today. Lovely and warm here in the studio. And we're now joining our first live race of the day. So this is the first race of flight number 7. They're hoping to get a total of 10 flights off. The wind is pretty light at the moment. I think we'll be lucky to get that many flights, another 3 flights away today. What do you think, Marcus?
Well, we'll see. I think it's looking okay. That upwind was a bit sketchy just now. There wasn't too much wind, but the downwind looks fine as we're looking down this valley. First boat is just rounding the leeward gate down there. I think it's sailable. It's difficult conditions, but I'm happy to see that the wind is blowing along the valley, which always stabilizes it. So I'm happy with the conditions. I think it's good, and I think we're going to see at least 3 good flights before that beautiful trophy is being decided and then handed over at a wonderful prize giving later on today.
Well, Lindau Siegler Club of Germany are currently leading this race, as you can see. And then we have the Austrian team from Aachensee. In second and third are the Lithuanians. But Martin's still with us in the studio. Interesting that there are so many claims to fame for St. Moritz. You know, you effectively were the very first alpine resort in the 19th century, as you said. No one else had quite thought of developing the mountains as a winter resort until St. Moritz came along. And then that led to all sorts of other things, like, you know, the first alpine ski school, the first bobsleigh track. Have you got any other big plans coming up?
other big plans at the moment. No, we don't have, but we did 5 times Alpine World Ski Championship, the 5th one last winter with a great success. That's why we are promoting sport very much. You said already it was bobsleigh is very old. Cresta, the tobogganing is very old, quite old. 128 years they have built the Cresta Run every year, or we build every year. So sport is very important to us, and we do also. We are looking for other events, like I told. We spoke about cricket on ice. This year we play ice cricket. About the same game.
How does that work?
It's about the same.
Is that on the lake?
It's on the lake, in the middle of the lake, in February, during the horse racing, and we will have Indian players coming, the professional coming to St. Moritz to play a game on ice.
They'll hate that weather. They'll be like, they'll have never felt cold like it. But it's interesting. How would that work then? How does a ball bounce on ice?
We press the snow quite hard, not with water, but hard pressed, and then we have a carpet in the middle where they have the wickets. So it's for them it's quite okay to play, and they love it. They love it. We had it here already, or we play since 28 years, a friendly game, and this one will be now a professional game in February with the professionals from India, and we hope in the future we can also have a team from Pakistan, so we can play India against Pakistan. That would be great.
That would be really cool.
I was always thinking if skiers can ski down hills at -10, -15 degrees, why wouldn't sailors be able to go out sailing in cold conditions? And why wouldn't people play cricket? It's just a question of having the right clothes. And sailors are just like, oh, if it's so cold and I get wet, that's terrible. Just a question of the right clothes.
You don't get wet on ice, do you? Unless you go sliding around on it. But ice sailing, of course, is another dramatic sport that's worth taking a look at.
Definitely. I mean, I'm a big fan of ice sailing, but ice sailing is not happening on this lake. There's usually too much snow on the lake. Black ice is a rarity here. Does it happen on the Silva Planersee sometimes?
No, we did it 2 years ago. We did some ice sailing here on the lake because there was black ice, no snow on the ice, only frozen. So we were able to do some ice sailing. And we spoke yesterday about this, if there is a possibility, but we have all lake is prepared for the horse racing. And on this side where we are now from the lake, not from the sailing part, on the other side, we will do some speed skating next winter. Because in 2020, we have the Youth Olympic Games together with Lausanne here in St. Moritz, bobsleigh and skeleton and luge. And on the lake, we will have speed skating.
And what I love about St. Moritz is you've preserved so many of the structures from the past Olympic Games that you've hosted. In 1928, 1948, I believe. But the Olympic Stadium is still there. And you rebuilt the actual podium area for the 2017 Alpine Ski World Championships.
There was a part of it, yes. We had the old stadium for ice skating. And then the other part, the building for 28 and 48, the Olympic Stadium, was rebuilt by Rolf Sachs, and he bought the house, and it's now his home. He's living here.
Okay, well, stay with us, Martin, because we're going to just watch the last part of this race and see who brings it home. At the moment, it's looking like it's signed, sealed, and delivered by the German boat.
And let me highlight where boats are going. They're currently sailing down to the finish line, which is here. And we see that 3 boats have gone around, and they're going to zigzag down. Boats are predominantly sailing on this side of the course. There seems to be a little bit more breeze blowing down that side, but we can also see that the fleet is really stretched out. Still a couple of boats which are sailing upwind far away from the fleet. So the wind is on and off. So it's not as steady as it was yesterday, surprisingly, with the sky clearing up. It just so happens that sometimes boats hit real holes and then fully stop, and that's why we see the fleet stretching out so far.
But the boat with the green sail and the number 8 on it is the German boat of the leading club. So that is our leading boat right now. And then right behind it comes the Austrians in boat number 4. that sort of, I'm not quite sure what colour it is. Just pointless asking Marcus because he's colourblind, but I think it's an aquamarine, something, a light green.
Well, just don't ask me, okay?
And in third place, the Lithuanians, who are on boat number 1 with a black Jenica. But these are our leaders making their way to the finish line. 2 laps, 4 legs, and they'll be looking to improve their position in the overall leaderboard.
So this being the first race of Flight 7, we're not fully in race commentary mode. Obviously, the last race of each flight being the crucial race that gives us then an overall result.
But currently the German team sitting 7th overall. Remember, it's the top 14 that go through to the Champions League final later this month.
14.
14 in Portocervo in Sardinia. But that certainly looks like an unassailable lead. And yesterday the conditions were such that we saw the early set of races. We saw any boat that got out in front would stay in front, but that all changed as the afternoon and the weather changed as the day went on, with plenty of last-minute overtakes that saw a change in the leader.
I'm just highlighting the finishing line that's being crossed by Lindauer Segelclub in a second. And what we just saw in the close-up shot, by the way, was a team that moved their heads, but they didn't move their bodies. And what they do in these light conditions is they try to stay as calm and quiet as possible on the boat. And that, what we saw here, was a boat with a 100-meter lead. If we follow these boats right after the start, we will see that they even move less, that they're trying to be really careful to keep that little drive they have in the boat and to make the most out of that little energy that's being provided today by this very, very light mountain breeze.
So the Germans are over the line, and now Michael Meister, the helm of the Aachensee boat from Austria, takes his crew across the line. They've had a pretty good campaign so far, and I think we can presume that they're going to be through to Portocervo if their performances continue as they have done earlier this weekend.
I think you're not stressing enough how spectacular that... oh, no, it's Matze. It's Matze who had the spectacular...
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yep.
I thought they had another second place. No way.
You thought I was being understated.
No, all good.
The Lithuanians from the GVK club. GVK club, wonderfully named Fair Wind Club.
And now we can see the spinnaker collapsing, and so the conditions are getting marginal. Was that something that was expected? Wind easing off today in midday? It's something I heard through the grapevine yesterday.
Yeah, it was about that because the wind is changing now to south a little bit, from north to south, southwest, and with these conditions, with the air pressure we have, with the sun, it can happen like this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and now we also see further upwind, there's boats with collapsed spinnakers. Let's hope the breeze will at least stay until all boats have finished. But we can see the boats still moving in the middle of the course as we look out of the studio. And here from the drone.
We're waiting for the 4th placed boat with the red sail, boat number 6. Carrying the Swedish crew from Gothenburg, waiting for them to cross the line. They're almost there. Now, boat number 5 coming in relatively fast on this right-hand side.
We didn't see those conditions yet, but when it blows quite hard here, doesn't it?
It blows quite hard. We had wonderful pictures on last Wednesday late afternoon. It was great for sailing, and it's quite hard, and it's attractive for sailing.
And then you get a very close to shore spectacular racetrack that I think is pretty much unparalleled in the world. 3 weeks ago we were in the middle of St. Petersburg. Very different scenery, obviously, but you know that is very special. But with the natural landscape backdrop here, those spectacular mountains, it is a very unique place, and I very much look forward to seeing those conditions. Hopefully next year.
Really close finish between the Swedes and the Germans there from Bayerischer Yacht Club. And we'll wait for the stragglers now to finish their race, and then we'll get race number 2 of Flight 7 underway. But I think it's going to be a day of patience, really, for the sailors, a day of waiting, and a day of making sure you don't make even the slightest mistake, because it'll be magnified 10 times out on this water. So our winners of this race were the Lindauer Segler Club, Veit Hammeter the helm, and Tim Kruse is with them now.
Exactly, Alec. I am having a very happy Veit Hammeter next to me. I said, this leg seems to be your leg. He says, no, not why, not particularly. Well, what's the problem? You're sailing really well.
No, I don't think that this leg is good for us or for any other team, because here you need a little bit of luck too. And yeah, in this race we had a little bit of luck, and so we're very happy about our first place now.
So while we're interviewing you, no, now they're all finished, but they're just like, you've been 5 minutes ahead of the rest of the fleet. What happened?
Yeah, the first mark we got a really nice puff, and so we got some distance between us and the other boats, and we managed to save that till the finish, and yeah, that was the reason.
Usually this crew is the heavy party crew, I can tell you. And yesterday evening you went to bed at 9:30. What happened?
8 o'clock start.
All right, all right. I've seen you differently. Were you so exhausted from that day?
No, it was okay. I mean, it was quite cold, so that's a little bit exhausting, but we haven't done so much sailing, so in the end it was okay.
In the Bundesliga, I don't know why. Like, I don't quite understand why you're not performing the way you should, or you did last year at least. But here you seem to do really well, and you seem to get along well. What's the difference?
Yeah, like Veit mentioned before, we are here with the A team, so
I love the A team.
yeah, me too. I love the A team too. So full force. So yeah, it's going good with this team.
Yeah, but like the last Bundesliga race, you performed with your B team. But even before with the A team, it didn't go smoothly. There seemed to be as if you had a break on the boat. What's the difference? Or did you just find yourself again during the season now?
No, we just had the A team in Chiemsee and in Lindau.
All right, all right.
So,
and how did you perform there?
9 and 3.
Which is good. So
Which is
it's
okay.
actually really about the A team and the B team. Which is bad for the B team, I know.
Yes,
They're not listening. Don't worry.
It's difficult to say, but of course, yeah, you always have to send the best sailors. Sometimes we are not able to do it, so some other guys get the chance to do the Bundesliga and to get confident with this racing. So, well, in the end, it's a club championship, so it's not that bad that everybody gets a chance to do a race.
One last little question. You're wet. What happened? You fell in?
It was raining like yesterday. No, yes, I fall in once again. I think it's the second time.
Here or in your life?
No. In my Bundesliga life. So I'm getting used to it, and this time we solved it much better than the first time. So I'm quite satisfied. We've improved a lot on this.
It's good, and we have really hard conditions, very strong winds, waves, as you can tell, meters high. That's why I fell in. It can happen to everyone. Even the best sailors in Germany can do that.
Thanks very much, Tim. Thanks very much, Tim. There's a little bit of analysis, for what it's worth, on race 1.
Well,
we'll be able to drill down more on the numbers of the next race.
Well, one thing that we can see here is that there's a pretty clear correlation between speed and race success. The fastest boat won, and what this could mean is that it's actually gustier today than yesterday, and catching the right gusts can make all the difference. We can see that Lindauer Segler Club covered more distance, quite substantially more than Aachensee, yet they still won with a very large margin. Maneuvers are not conclusive, but speed surely is. And let's follow up on this data that we get from the SAP Sailing Analytics in the following races to see whether that's a pattern that will repeat.
So we're waiting for the second race of Flight 7 now. And what happens, for those of you who join us for the first time, is that they're standard boats, so the crews get assigned different boats for each flight. And at the end of each race, the current crew jumps off and the next crew jump on for the following race. They then have a window to check the boat over, make sure it's all okay. Should it not be okay, someone was asking this yesterday, should it not be okay, then they have the option of telling the officials, and there are some spare boats, all identical, that they can bring into the mix. And there we see from our drone footage that the boats are just beginning to prepare and wait for their starting sequence. So it's a good chance to meet the teams.
Vasa Segelförening, Finland.
So boat 1 is from Finland with the black sail and the number 1. And then you'll find boat number 2 is light blue in colour, and that's the Royal Swedish Yacht Club. Who's on boat 3?
Club de la PCC, Hof.
This lot.
That's Yacht Club
APCC of Voile Sportif from Nantes. So they do their sailing on the Atlantic usually, and aren't having a bad regatta at all here. Then we have the light green boat, boat number 4, which features the German team. Verein Seglerhaus, anyway, they're from Wannsee. Would you like to give us the pronunciation of that?
Verein Seglerhaus am Wannsee, it is.
Thank you very much. 2 French teams here. The second one is on boat number 5. And they are the Club de Voile of Saint-Aubin-Elbeuf from Normandy.
CVSE France.
Are helmed by Pauline Courtois, who had a good day at the helm yesterday. 28 years old, well known on the women's match racing circuit. And boat number 6, that red boat that you can see just going to the left-hand side of the picture, that's from Denmark. That carries the Royal Danish Yacht Club, an all-female crew, and they finished the day yesterday pretty well. On to boat number 7.
Circolo Velico Ravennate, Italy.
The pink boat, Circolo Velico Ravennate, the Italians from Ravenna, normally do their sailing on the Adriatic. They absolutely hated the conditions yesterday. They were freezing cold, and they said, this isn't what we go into sailing for. Hopefully today, with a little bit of sunshine, they'll be happier and we'll see them smiling
They did
again.
enjoy the World Champion barbecue, though, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then boat number 8, the dark green boat, features our current overall leaders, Segel Club Matse, who sit top with an advantage of 7 points at the top of the overall leaderboard. How are they going to do today? It's a young crew. The oldest is 33. Everyone else is under the age of 23. So that'll be interesting to see.
All right, what we have here in picture now is basically our race course. We've got the starting line, which is comprised out of this pin end and the mast with the orange flag, and there is our imaginary line in between that boats are not allowed to cross until the 0-second gun, the starting gun goes off. 1 minute signal coming up in a second, and then boats sail up to one of these windward marks up here. There's 3 windward marks, and I presume this time around it's going to be that middle mark. So boats are going to start and go up this way, zigzag through the middle, or go up the other way. And what sailors are trying to look at are these dark patches that we see here and here, and that's the areas where the wind is blowing a little stronger. And that's where a boat wants to be and sail towards. They're looking for the best lane up the beat. So beautiful view here up the start line. Boats are now closing in to our imaginary start line with 20 seconds to go.
And it looks like they're going to be too
careful.
close.
They got to be careful. They're awfully close now. Let's go in the sideline view where we get a clear view from the start line. Boat number 3 is definitely over. They're already going back.
That's the French Voile Sportif APCC.
They're already going back. I think they've gone behind and now they restarted. They decided they want to go out to the right side, and what I just showed was the playing field, and they must have looked up that playing field and decided, well, I think we should head out to the right-hand side. There's more to come on that side, and I think we're now on board with them as well.
We're on board with Saint-Aubin Elbeuf. Pauline Courtois at the back there with the white sunglasses. And you actually need sunglasses today, which seemed an impossibility over the last few days. But those clouds have lifted. Now boat number 5. That's the French team from Saint-Aubin Elbeuf. Bringing up the rear there. And choosing to go left.
It looks like it's a close battle between Segelclub Matze. What a surprise. Our I wouldn't call them local heroes, but they're definitely the heroes of this regatta. They're currently
in second place.
Second place, working up their way towards the middle of the course. And pretty much on par at the moment with the Yacht Club APCC Voile Sportif.
So there seems to be a battle developing already halfway up the very first leg between those first 2 boats. But let's not discard the Royal Danish Yacht Club. They pulled off some great tactical victories yesterday, and they're hot on their heels.
Let's remember what we just saw at the start with the French sticking their nose out of the start line, then tacking away, going back and heading out to the right-hand side. They did all that because they thought the right-hand side held more promise, and it now looks like the right-hand side is gaining as well.
But explain to us, Marcus, what the other French team are, that yellow boat all the way out on the left. What was the thinking behind that?
Heading all the way to the left, you reckon? The clubs, the Voile Saint-Aubin. Well, I would have to go back to the start. They had a pin and start, and they wanted to keep things simple, just bang the corner, but the left-hand corner was just bad. You know, that was an area where you had less wind.
So this is perfect because we're at the top mark now, so we can see the exact order of things with the Finnish team from Vaasa coming out of nowhere to round the top mark in first place.
And they all gained on the right-hand side. I'm a little bit surprised nobody is jibing. And we're now looking downwind.
Royal Danish Yacht Club in second. And APCC of France.
And we're now looking downwind, and we can see the gate in the background here. Those are the two gate marks that the boats can choose to go around. They need to go inside and then around this way or that way. That's the next course mark. And the areas where I saw gains happening, that was this side of the course. They were gaining there. And so far, the only boat that is jibed there is this boat number 4, which, Alec, help me out here. That is the green boat. Is that number 4?
It's the Germans. It's the Germans. From Vancy.
Yeah, and it does look like they're gaining over there.
It's light blue, really, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
I think we should call it light blue from now on.
Okay, turquoise, is that correct?
Turquoise, yeah, that'll do. But it's time to see Matsei's mettle, because they've raced some terrific competitions here over the last few days. But now we're seeing them probably lower down the pecking order than we've seen them all weekend. They're currently mid-fleet in that green-coloured boat. Boat number 8. Can they close that gap? Can they come back? They're doing a pretty good job of it. They seem to be moving up the fleet now. Although they're squeezed out there. It's almost as if they changed their minds. They were going, the green boat, they were going for the left gate and then came round this side instead. And that's seen them lose positions.
Well, looking at the gains and losses of the last downwind, Verein Siglaus am Wannsee sticks out. The early jibe really paid off for them. Now, we see him on the far end here in the background. Now they're heading out to the right-hand side again. Let's see if there's a pattern developing there, that the right-hand side holds a bit more promise.
Right. Halfway through the race then. The Germans are leading. The boat with the two brothers on board. Philip and Hendrik Kadelbach, one doing tactics, Philip doing the helm. Can they lead their crew to victory?
And the Finnish boat in the foreground has tacked. The boat from Berlin in the background is leading, and so is the French boat, which are following. So sailing to the left didn't help the Finns to gain anything. It's the right-hand side that seems to work this time around again.
So the Finns drop from first at the top mark to fourth on this third leg. Our overall leaders, Segel Club Matsei, currently sitting fifth.
Verein Siglaus am Wannsee is tacking. We're on board with them. They head out further to the right. Not a whole lot of runway left, and yeah, we see them already tacking back. They're covering their opponent. They're covering the French boat leeward of them. They know that going just a little extra distance can be costly.
They come to the top mark. They round it, and then we'll head home on the final leg to the finish line.
Beautiful gain. Beautiful gain they had on the last downwind, and they defended it. Right-hand side worked. French stayed where they are. No real gains and losses on this upwind. Let me double check that that's right. Well, the Royal Danish Yacht Club has gained a place, and we see the Segelclub Matsei in an unusual fourth place. But they also gained one spot in the previous upwind leg. And we're looking downwind again. Nobody jibing off. Not even the leading boat from Berlin.
The Italians rounding in last position now.
And let me highlight the finish line here in the background. That's where boats are going. Team from Berlin has jibed. Other boats have jibed as well. And we see this boat here going quite a bit deeper than the other boats. These are sailing higher. So this boat might be in for some gains.
Well, can the Royal Swedish Yacht Club pull off a shock result here as they go further left than anyone else? But let's fly ahead with the leaders from Wannsee, near Berlin.
And we see Segelclub Matsei winging out to the left-hand side. Not sure if that's a good move for them.
They travel through the gate that they rounded in the previous lap. And now it's just a few meters downwind to the finish line. They qualified second in their national league.
That washes the team from Berlin up to 5th place in the overall results. Bear in mind, one extra race to come, so it can only get better for them. I think they've had a good string of races.
So
recently.
APCC of France crossed the line in second. Then comes the Royal Danish Yacht Club. And then, well, maybe that tactic worked going further left, because the Royal Swedish Yacht Club come in 4th place.
And it's Segelclub Matze in 5th.
So our overall leaders registering what I think will turn out to be their worst results of the regatta so far, with a 6th place finish.
Yep.
And there's confirmation of how it all ended. I'm not quite sure how the 8th place boat managed to finish behind the Italians. Be interesting to see what happened on board that yellow boat, because they seemed relatively far ahead at the final top mark. Potentially, these teams are going to have at least another 2 races to run this afternoon. It could even be 3, depending on how many flights we get away. I know the race committee will do their utmost to get as much racing as possible, but we seem to have a bit of a fluid cut-off time today.
Well, the maximum, the latest possible start time is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But they won't start a flight when they think they won't be able to finish the flight. So we might have our last race at 15:30 already.
And we are expecting the wind, I think, to get lighter as the afternoon goes on.
That's the forecast, but looking at the data just now, we've got 7.7 knots. That's what the SAP Sailing Analytics say, and it's the best breeze we had so far. So we shouldn't talk down the conditions too much. It's actually quite nice at the moment. It does look like we'll have a fast turnaround time and good racing.
Well, I can tell you what that result has meant is that Segelclub Matze, our overnight leaders, who went into the race with a 7-point advantage, have now had that advantage reduced to just 1 point. However, their nearest challengers, Hellerup Sail Club, who are obviously in 2nd place, still have to race in this flight. So they will be in boat number 1, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with the pressure.
And by the way, looking at the Sailing Analytics, a bit of an odd result or a bit of an oddity, let's call it that. On the last downwind, there was no place changes whatsoever. We thought something happened, but the analytics show there's a little column with gains and losses, and no gains and losses happened. Okay, let's look at the data again and see if we find some similar correlation as in the last race. And it does look like, when you look at the top 3, that speed was relevant. I don't think this is boat speed that comes from trimming necessarily. I think it's mostly about putting your boat on the right lane, on the right track, picking those little gusts, those very slight variations in breeze that we have on the racetrack, and that makes all the difference. But Verein Seglerhaus am Wannsee, they sailed a spectacular race and also clocked in the lowest distance of the top 5 boats. As we can see, 1.34 kilometers, actually a little bit less distance covered by the boats than we had in the races yesterday. We roughly had 1.7 kilometers per race. So be fast, shorten your track, and you're in for winning.
So this is the moment in which the teams swap boats. They return back to the pontoon at the yacht club, jump off, and the new team quickly hop on. It's a real quick turnaround. And we're on board with the Finnish team for this next race, the concluding race of flight number 7. We're with Nilienska Yacht Klubben. We're on board with them. And that man at the helm has immense experience. 56-year-old George Talberg.
He's a Finnish sailing legend.
Bronze at the Moscow Olympics in 1980. Raced in Tallinn. That was the sailing venue back then.
Yep.
And I think we're actually on board with the Swedes now. Yep. And so the Swedish team will be following is the Ekholm Segel Club, Rainer Svensson at the helm. And they'll be wanting to do a little bit better than their compatriots in the previous race, who sort of finished in mid-fleet. The Finns, by the way, are on boat number 4, the aquamarine coloured boat.
Yeah, we have a shuttle boat that shuttles the sailors to and from the boats. So as we explained before, 8 boats, 24 teams, and each flight comprises of 3 races.
And it looks like our man is on board. So Tim looks ready. Tim,
Okay.
take it away.
Yeah, I'm taking it away. They're in a little rush here, and they're not too happy with us being here, but it's okay. It takes a while to shuttle land because they don't have enough boats, and so we really have to go quick. Congratulations, Julian. It was a very, very good race. Philip, sorry. There's so many brothers and sisters in this family, so you'll always mix it up. Philip, thank you. Great race. How did you manage to beat the Austrian team, because they seem to be unbeatable, but now you have 2 first places after a row? How did you do that? Did you get used to the lake?
I think, yes, we get used to the lake, and also we found a little of our flow and some confidence. If you have won at first, then it gives you confidence. But also that race, we didn't look at any competitors. We're just seeing, where's the wind, what can we do, and then on the first down, we just hit the jibe at the right moment, and we could go into the to the U mark, and I think that was it.
That's. It seems that really that you seem to be extremely comfortable. What was your tactics this morning? What did you decide to do, except of staying out of trouble, which is always the same? But like, what was your idea of winning this thing?
I think we saw. First of all, let's stay out of trouble and let's really try to sail the boat fast and have like an open mind and see what's going on and be very flexible. And yeah, I mean, that seemed to work quite well in the first 2 races for us.
What's the trick to get a good speed on this boat?
I think there's no trick. Maybe adjust. I think you have to adjust a lot because the wind is so changing. So really always adjust it. Also the course, because it goes up and down, and be like easy on the helm and also on all the sheets.
That's probably the trick for many boats. Just take it easy, get the pressure out, and then just sail the way you can.
Yeah, exactly. I think in sailing it's always be easy. Maybe not in 7 or in 30 knots, but at these conditions at the lake, it's definitely be easy.
Okay. We've got 4 minutes to the next start, so I've got to jump and leave, guys, because they're really in a rush here. So see you later after the next race. Goodbye.
Thanks very much, Tim. And congratulations to Philip. There are very strict rules and regulations as to how many boats you can have on the lake at any one time. Engine boats, in fact, I think they're banned for much of the time, but the support vessels are allowed, but they're restricted with the numbers that they can have on there for environmental reasons, and quite right too. So we're about 4 minutes away to the final race of Flight 7?
4 minutes to go. Currently 5 knots. The race will happen, I'm sure. So we can look at some teams.
Yeah, so the 8 teams are out there. They're on their boats, and let's meet them now.
Hellerup Sejlklub, Denmark.
Hellerup Sail Club are on the black boat, the one with the number 1 on the bow. Lucas Lear, former Champions League winner, won the first edition in Copenhagen with a different team, but he's back to try and repeat his success. And then on boat number 2, we have the Swiss team of Société Nautique de Genève, currently sitting 3rd overall in the standings. They're in the light blue boat. Then we have on boat number 3, a team from Scotland.
Port Edgar Yacht Club, United Kingdom.
Callum Calder, 28 years old at the helm, broke his back a while back, but he's now returned and is in fine form. They've got some good results yesterday. How will the team from Edinburgh do today? Boat number 4. The light green boats are from Finland. And the Finnish team from Nyländska Yachtklubben, we've mentioned them already, helmed by the Olympic veteran George Tolberg. On to the yellow boat. We've been on board with them already. It's the Swedish team.
Ekon Segelklubb, Sweden.
Rainer Svensson is the helm. Tony Carlson, Sebastian Barg and Gustav Holst are the crew trying to orchestrate victory in this race in Flight 7.
And that's them. We're on board with them right now.
So we can follow their race close up and personal over the next few minutes. Boat number 6 is the red boat, and they're flying the KNS flag, the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club, the club that won the Champions League in 2015, helmed by Christopher Spone, and they're in the red boat that you can just see going off to the right-hand corner there. What about the pink boat, boat number 7?
Yachtclub Bregenz, Österreich.
Helmed by 23-year-old Anna Mayer. She normally works out on the pointy bit, on the bow, but their regular helm is off at another big world competition, and so she has stepped up to take the helm. We'll see how they do this afternoon. And finally, on boat number 8 is the Swiss team from Roll, the Société Nautique Rolloise, with Olivier de Cockatrice at the helm. So we're just a few seconds away now from the start of race 3 of Flight 7.
The next race is presented by Juvia.
And here we have the start line, pin and mark on the left-hand side, virtual start line here, starting boat here, and the boats are bunching up on that side because the wind is blowing a little bit more from that direction, and the boats are heading up to that windward mark. In the middle, I believe it's going to be the yellow mark. Let's clear this off. 18 seconds to go. Majority of the boats here now looking down the line. Yellow boat definitely over. They have to bear away and go down, but they're being luffed up by the boats to leeward. Definitely over.
We're getting the countdown off the committee boat.
And that was an individual recall.
For, it looks like 2 boats at least. It's the yellow Swedish boat.
It's the most aggressive start I've seen in a while. More boats going back and really just 2 boats daring to continue. And obviously they're in a very, very good position now.
So the Finns and the Norwegians heading upwind. Boat number 8, the Swiss, also still in the hunt as the others have returned to restart that race. That was a fast and furious start, probably the messiest that we've seen all regatta. Here we can watch the replay and see a little bit better what happened.
Yeah, one boat sticking out, another boat sticking out, then a whole bunch. Very aggressive start, and really just the Hellerup Sail Club and the French boat in a safe spot there. And the leeward boats, I think they were okay as well. Royal Norwegians, probably okay.
The Swiss from the Sail Club Rouloise staying very close to the committee boat and heading far to the right, opposite side to our leaders who are nearest to us. But maybe it'll pay off. We shall see. But currently it's between boat 4 and boat 6, the Finns and the Norwegians, as they tack and head towards that top mark.
The boat in the background and the boat in the foreground, according to the SAP Sailing Analytics, currently pretty much on par. This is a crucial cross, obviously. The boat in the background, Hellerup Sail Club, has gone out really far to the right-hand side. That saw slightly stronger winds in the last race, but they're currently not going very high. They're slightly headed. And the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club coming in from the left, and the NJK from Finland converging with Hellerup.
Hellerup obviously chasing the best possible result. They really want victory because that would pretty much put them equal, I believe, on points at the top of the leaderboard with the Austrian club that are currently leading, the club from Matzey near Salzburg. So Hellerup Sail Club in exactly the position they want to be.
So it's the right-hand side that won again on this upwind. I'm not sure if there's a pattern emerging. Will anybody go for an early jibe? They don't jibe in this position. That makes perfect sense because you would get into the congested wind area that is created by the boats which are rounding the windward mark. But could an early jibe be an opportunity?
Now the Scottish club, Port Edgar Yacht Club, have done extremely well at that top mark to round that in third place because they had to turn around and start again, but somehow they've made up the distance and are now in the hunt. And you can see them there with the blue spinnaker currently sitting in fourth place.
There we have someone who bails out, but he did what I just described. He jibed straight away in an area where there's confused wind. There's not much wind on the right-hand side now. Hellerup Sail Club, I saw a collapsing spinnaker.
Two laps, 4 legs. So we're heading towards the halfway point of this race, with the Danes in control at the moment.
But Hellerup Sail Club, very slow at the moment, and it does look like there's a gust for the boats that follow. Looks like they're in for some serious gains. Hellerup Sail Club stuck in a lull. And it looks like the boats that follow simply sail around them. Best gains and losses so far on Nyländska Yachtklubben from Finland. They had a spectacular downwind so far. They're really gaining. And the early jibe has really hurt Hellerup. And now it's even getting worse because from the other side, we see the boats on the right-hand side doing fairly well. The Norwegians that have jibed out early got good breeze. It's really Hellerup which is paying in the middle.
Our leaders, so much experience on board. We've mentioned George Tolberg, the helm, with his Olympic bronze in Moscow, doing tactics, Casimir Johansson, as they round that bottom mark.
But Hellerup manages to stay ahead. They take the left-hand mark, the right-hand gate mark, which had substantial advantage. And they round first on the favored side, so I think they're safe. The right-hand side of the downwind did seem to work. It had stronger breeze, and that's where Hellerup is heading towards. So I think they got out of jail. It looked pretty dangerous for them for a while, but they got, I think, maybe a little bit lucky that the left-hand gate mark was not favored, and the gains that were made by the Société Nautique on the left-hand side and the other boat on that side was, let me check, who's heading out to the left, is the NJK from Finland. That is helmed by George Tolberg, correct?
Correct. Meanwhile, the Scots still in the hunt as they try and chase down the leaders.
Tolberg on the helm here.
And I was saying Casimir Johansson, who's calling tactics, had 2 Olympic campaigns, but and I asked him, well, you know, how did it go? We're talking about the past sort of 10, 20 years. He said, yeah, the problem was I was up against Johansson and Giroud in the 29er, 2 really great Finnish sailors, and he was always beaten by them, so he never managed to actually make it to the games.
I sailed against Casimir in my days in the 49er, and he's a great sport and very nice person, and the sailing scene in Finland very much alive, thanks to guys like him.
And they're representing the oldest registered sports club in Finland. Not a big sport, sailing in Finland, but their club, 1,200 members, definitely one of the biggest in the country. So this is how the front of the fleet looks.
Hallerup holding on to the lead.
The
boats closing in to the windward mark. And I think they're heading to the yellow mark, which is in the middle. The race committee has 3 marks laid out, and they pick which of the marks needs to be rounded next, depending on how the wind shifts. And we see a very close rounding here. If we could close in a bit more with our drone, we would see the cross. This is Hallerup. They defended their lead. It is close. But again, good breeze. We see the boats on the right-hand side moving a little bit quicker than the boats on the left-hand side. And it makes me wonder, are we going to see a jibe set this time around, also with the boats gaining so much on the last downwind, the boats that jibed away?
And the blue boat right behind them is Port Edgar Yacht Club, rounding in second.
No jibe set again. They try to avoid the wind shadow that is developing behind these boats.
And the Swiss.
And now boats are heading downwind.
Sorry, that's boat number 4 from Finland. It going round in third, and then comes the red boat of the Norwegian team in 4th. And a little tussle there for 5th place, and the green boat of the Swiss team from Roll just edged out, or can they get ahead?
So boats are heading down to the Finnish boat and the Finnish line, which is down here. We can ignore the gate that lies in front. And the question for the sailors now, do they go this way down to the finish, or does anybody try to go that way? And last time what happened was you could go this way and go much deeper. But so far, none of these boats here tried to go in for an early jibe. Hallerup has jibed out, and I think they're perfectly safe in the position where they're in. Nobody can really catch them. The ley line to the finish is a little bit further down, but I think Hallerup is in a very safe place right here, right now.
Position 1 and 2 on the screen. The Danes with the black-coloured sail, and the Brits in second place on boat number 3. The Scots obviously used to very different conditions, sailing out in the North Sea, strong tides, strong currents, very different conditions from here. And they were looking forward to testing themselves in these conditions. Certainly, in many ways, more pleasant, if probably about the same temperature, but more pleasant for them. And the fleet together heading downwind is a spectacular view for the spectators who have come down to the lake. They are passing our commentary box right now, and they're probably, what, only about 50 metres, 100 metres away, not even that. And it is a beautiful view as the leaders.
And it's really close, this downwind. And just a second ago, there were no gains and losses, but now it's being shuffled up. Now the places are changing, and we have a gain with this. We have the Société Nautique Rollaz was just gaining. Now they're back. It's going to be a super tight finish. Too difficult to predict. Hellerup Sail Club still in the lead, but it is awfully close. Let's look at the finish line here.
So the Danes have got it. But who will take second, third and fourth? It's almost too close to call. Was that the team from Geneva coming in just now? And it looks like possibly in second place were the Finns. But and then there's the... Yeah, it's been given to the Finns. The Port Edgar Yacht Club have been given third.
Too early?
These all await confirmation.
I think it's too early to call. Let me check. Let me double check this.
But it was a spectacular finish.
Finns,
Yet another
right.
one this weekend. So Hellerup Sail Club have won a crucial race. Because what it means, and we'll wait for the overall leaderboard to be updated, is that they are still in the hunt for the title here in St. Moritz.
And also interesting on this last downwind, we had the Finns gaining one place and the Scots losing one place. And those are very crucial for those both those teams, because the Finns are in 16th place overall now, and the Scots are in 14th. So just about that margin where they qualify for the final. Hellerup Sail Club, second placed overall.
As soon as the numbers are crunched and made official, we'll bring you the overall leaderboard at the end of Flight 7 to see exactly how it's all panning out as we head towards the climax of this regatta here in St. Moritz. But a great race by Hellerup Sail Club. They led from start to finish. Port Edgar Yacht Club, I believe, have been given second now for that race. So a great result for them as well. But let's now go to that results page and get confirmation. So still in the lead, Sail Club Matse, Seagull Club Matse, our overnight leaders, now leading by 2 points from Hellerup Sail Club from Denmark.
So interesting. Look at their series with just first and second places, and then 1/6 place throws them close to Hellerup Sail Club, which had a more consistent series. So it's far from over. A lot can still happen. If they wouldn't have clocked that 6th place, they would have been super safe, and they would have had a lead that I never saw before that late in a Champions League regatta. But now it's open again.
Top 14 qualify for the final. So what's happening at the other end of the table is almost as exciting as what's happening at the top. Port Edgar Yacht Club were given second then in Flight 7.
Yep.
Which puts them in 14th place. So that is a crucial result. 33 points for them, but equal on points with the Lithuanian GVK Sail Club. So plenty to play for down there. The 2 Swedish teams and the Finns also fighting for survival and qualification to the final. But I don't think there are, apart from possibly the bottom club there, I don't think there's anyone that we can absolutely write off for the final.
No, not with that. With the point score as it currently stands. The LRS 280 with 56 points. They're a bit off the pace, I'd say.
So it might be worth me just confirming the results of that last race then, because we saw Port Edgar Yacht Club come in second. That meant that Société Nautique de Genève were given third. Ekons Seagull Club of Sweden were fourth. Then came the Austrians from Bregenz in fifth. Then the Swiss from Rolle in sixth. And interestingly, the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club and the Finns, who led for so much of that race. And this is where I think the Port Edgar Yacht Club moved up the rankings. They were given OCS, so no results for the Finns and the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club. Let's get back out and hear from the Scots. There with Tim.
Exactly, Alec. I put a little pressure on the guys. I said, if you win, I'm going to interview you. Now they were third, which feels like a victory, right, Callum?
Absolutely. It's been quite tough the last few races with a very light breeze. So it's nice to come back and have a top three for that race, yeah.
I felt a little bad because I said, okay, I'm going to interview you. And then, oh, you were second, I just hear. You were second.
Fantastic, cool. That's great.
It's more like a victory now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I told you that I'm going to interview you if you win, I felt a little bad because you had a terrible early start. What happened?
Yeah, so we just we approached the line a little bit too early, and we ended up over. So we ducked down. We realised we were over quite early and ducked down, and to then recover that.
Being second after a terrible start like that is something. So do you get used to the lake and to the winds and to the shifts and all these terrible conditions for you guys? You're from Edinburgh, that's a different sailing there.
Absolutely. I mean, in some respects, this is like sailing on a loch at home in Scotland, but sailing on the coast, it's usually a bit more stable than this. So it makes it interesting, that's for sure.
All right, a loch at home, I love your accent, it's wonderful. They're the only English-speaking guys, except for you, Alec. And everybody's talking English, it's nice. Great accent, thanks a lot, guys, good sailing, thanks. Got to jump back.
It's wonderful in Edinburgh.
I just said, as the interview was going on, I said to Alec, I love the Scottish accent. He's like, yes, if you can understand it.
Yeah, and that was a very fine Scottish accent, that one. So not strong at all. So in a few minutes' time, we're going to get flight number 8 underway.
It's actually
8 more teams.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. 8 more teams preparing to do battle as time and races run out to secure qualification to the Champions League final, which takes place in Portocervo in Sardinia at the end of this month. So this would be a good time to meet some of the teams, starting with the French on boat number 1.
CVSE France.
Yes, they're back. We've seen them in action already today with Pauline Courtois at the helm. Yann Chateau is calling tactics, European match race champion. So an awful lot of experience on board that boat.
And they're currently ranked 17th overall.
Boat number 2 is from Switzerland, and it's back-to-back races for them. The Swiss team from the Société Nautique Rolloise in action again.
Currently lying 20th.
Boat number 3 from Austria.
Yachtclub Bregenz, Österreich.
So Anna Ma, 23 years old, at the helm. Normally they sail on Lake Constance, and as they pointed out, Lake Constance, or their end of it, is more hills than mountains, very different conditions to here.
And they're placed 10th overall.
Then boat number 4 with the light green sail is the German team that we've seen in action already today. The German team from Wannsee in Berlin with Philipp Kadelbach, who we've also interviewed today. He's at the helm.
Lying 4th overall.
Boat number 5 from Lithuania.
Gerovėjo klubas, Lithuania.
Boat number 5 from GVK, the Fairwind Club with Algirdas Zizis at the helm.
And they're really close to the cut. They're 15th overall at the moment.
Then boat number 6 with the red sail is from Norway. It's the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club, so back-to-back races for them as well. And then we come to the pink boat, boat number 7.
Royal Swedish Yacht Club, Sweden.
The Royal Swedish Yacht Club, been in action already today, haven't quite hit the results that they would be hoping for. Can they turn things around this afternoon? And they are,
Well, if they
Marcus,
stay where they are,
right
they're
now?
12th overall, and then they would qualify.
So they've
but
qualified. Okay, so boat number 8, another Swedish team. Again, we've seen them in action today. The KKKK Sailing Club from just south of Gothenburg. So that's who we're going to watch battle it out on the waters in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
The next race is presented by Kraftwerk.
And here we go.
Is it looking a little bit lighter out on the water?
It's a little bit lighter. The wind is blowing a little bit from the right. We can see that from the flag down here at the pin end that comprises one side of the line, that invisible line between those two orange flags that boats are closing in towards now. We also see a yellow flag on the boat here, which means that the boats will go around that windward mark. So the course is either go left and up to that mark, or go right up to that mark and then come back downwind through this gate. That's the course. They do 2 laps, and with 30 seconds to go to the start, the big question is which side of the line is favored. And we see the flags blowing a little bit from this direction, favoring this side of the line, and that's where the majority of the fleet is bunching up at.
But so close to the start line, and I reckon that blue boat number 2 with the Swiss on board's already crossed early.
Yeah, we're now going into the transit of the line so we can better tell who's over. So let me draw in the line again. This is the line, and boats don't want to be over by 0 seconds. They're closing in. It looks clean. Will it be a clean start? It was a clean start. We see one boat below. That's the boat from Berlin, having some trouble avoiding that mark, but they got away clean. And if they find breeze on the left-hand side, this is a beautiful spot to be in. Great start by them.
We're on board with the Lithuanians.
They tacked out. They bailed out.
And they're currently sitting mid-fleet, for what it's worth, in these early stages of the race, where the lead and positions are changing all the time.
And we have the VSAW from Berlin, from the beautiful Wannsee, heading out to the left-hand side. And it does look the wind is shifting a little bit towards the left. That's good news for them.
But it's currently the French that are leading. Boat number 1.
Yeah, they're a little bit above them. Maybe slightly fresher breeze where they are. Right-hand side not winning at the moment. So the battle is on between the French. We're on board with a boat from Berlin. Philipp Kadelbach in picture. And we can see they're hardly moving. They're really, really careful not to disturb the flow on the sails and the flow on the hull. But we see the French boat edging out a little bit over them. So no room to tack at the moment for the boat from Berlin, and now boats are luffing. But I can see the wind shifting back and forth from our wind indicator that is positioned slightly windward of the windward mark.
But 4 of the fleet have chosen to go the other way.
Yes, they have, and we see that lonely battle on the left-hand side with the 2 leading boats. But will they go above the ley line? Will they go too far? We can see the ley line top right of the screen. They wouldn't want to cross that by too much. But they're currently getting lifted. And it doesn't look like the Club de Voile Saint-Aubin-Elbeuf, what a beautiful, beautiful name, is likely to tack anytime soon.
Plenty of experience on board that French boat, although they do describe themselves as a scratch crew. They haven't sailed together very much at all. And they came here hoping simply to qualify for the final in Sardinia. Right now, they're doing exactly what they need to do to achieve that target. They are leading the first race of Flight 8. famous alpine resort and its lake in the Engadine Valley region of Switzerland, looking absolutely stunning with that first dusting of snow. Exclusive resort in the southeast of Switzerland, obviously famous for its winter sports, and this lake here that freezes in the winter, and that famous horse and polo race that they host here.
So boats going around this mark, closing in slow motion, we have to say. It is light breeze. It does look a little bit stronger on this side, a little bit more breeze. And as we can imagine, we've got this big valley here. Maybe the wind spills a little bit stronger over that side. But now the boats on the right-hand side hardly moving. They've stopped. One boat is bailing out, heading further to the right, searching for some winds. And the boats on the left-hand side, they still have some momentum.
It's a spectacular shot from our drone, but it doesn't really give a representative idea of the speed they're traveling, because they do look stopped, but looking out across the lake from the commentary box, they're making progress.
Yeah,
they are moving.
You can see they're doing 2.6 knots. That's about walking speed. 5 kilometers per hour.
Well, it's certainly a more pleasant way than walking to work your way along the length of the lake.
And it does look like the right-hand side is winning, and it does look like the team from Berlin, the black boat in the foreground, got spun out. Well, that's the French boat.
Well, currently the boat coming in is boat number 8, the Swedish boat from Gothenburg, in that breathtaking leg. They were the ones who came out on top, followed by the Norwegians from the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club. We're on board one of the boats as they round the mark now. But look how tight it is. 3 boats rounding all at the same time. The Germans from Berlin are off.
They did a nice set there with all possibilities, because they did a low set. They will be able to jibe away earlier than the rest. Everybody deciding to head out toward the shore side of the lake.
So as we begin leg 2, it's the Swedes from KK in the lead, followed by the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club in second place. But it's all so close that first, second, third place, they're going to be swapping, chopping and changing.
But it does look like these boats here are going deeper than the others. So the breeze is filling in from behind, allowing the boats in the back to go lower, which is really bad news for the Swedish boat in the lead, which currently cannot jibe away towards that gate that we see in the background.
They jibe.
They jibed, and we can see that the boats which went low gained. And if I'm not mistaken, the topmost boat of this bunch is the boat from Berlin, which made some major gains by doing a low set and keeping the momentum in the boat.
So as we're looking closest to us, the dark blue sail of the Austrian boat from Bregenz. Then it's the dark green of the Swedish club, KKKK. Then the red boat of the Norwegian Royal Yacht Club. And right to the extreme right of this, boat number 4, with the Germans from Berlin on board. And now, slowly, ever so slowly, edging ahead as they come into that bottom gate. Philip Caddleback once again finding himself in the lead.
Beautiful downwind by them.
And can they use all their experience on board to hold on to that lead?
It looks like they're going deep out of this gate, and I wonder if they put in an early tack now.
Royal Norwegian Yacht Club still holding on to second.
But they got good momentum in the boat.
And then bringing up the rear, the Lithuanians, GVK. Just approaching the gate now, as the Germans tacked to come back in. Have the team from Wannsee chosen the wrong side of the course? Well, at the moment, the Norwegians have taken the lead. You can see clearly from that graphic that the Germans have slipped to third place now as the Finns move up. I'm sorry, the Swedes move up into second.
And they've got better speed as well on the right-hand side.
The Germans have gone off hunting for wind. They seem to have found it. They found at least a knot and a half more than where they were before. But how far right are the Swedes going? Left-hand side are the two boats at the rear of the fleet. Whilst the leaders approach the top mark, the centre of the screen there. Very little in it between the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club and the Germans from Wannsee.
And they're all approaching the windward mark, which is to the right. They're not going around the yellow one this time around. They're going around the red one, I believe.
They're rounding it now with the Norwegians in the lead. It's very close, and they have that final leg to the finish line now. And I think what we're looking at, the story of this race, is developing into a battle for first and second. There is quite some distance to third place. So you'd expect that red and blue, those red and blue sails to be the ones battling for first. I can't see them throwing this away now. But can the Norwegians hold on to their position? Christopher Spooner at the helm.
Is that blue?
Boat number 4 in second
what we'd
place.
settle on to be turquoise?
Turquoise, aquamarine, light green.
Yeah, but this battle is going to be exciting on the downwind. We're going to see the club from Berlin trying to go a little bit lower, and we're going to see the Norwegian going as low as possible so they can put in a jibe when they want to. So the next jibe, let's stay on this, is going to be crucial. This is the battle for the win for this race. And the team from Berlin had an amazing series so far. Gotten better and better throughout the regatta. And if they can win this, they can potentially climb up further in the leaderboard.
What's interesting about the way that the sail club in Wannsee race the National League is that they have enough members to be able to rotate the squads to try and work out who will make the best team. But
parallel jibe, and it does look like Wannsee has a chance. Pausave has a chance to roll over them. Norwegians are luffing. This could turn into a bit of a luffing battle. They're far away from the opponents. Now they're choking them. Now they get the dirty air. Nice perspective from the onboard camera. They've passed them. And the Norwegians, they just stay calm. They continue. They want to nail him down. Now they're complaining. Team from Berlin is complaining that the others are not going around. They're worried about the boats that follow. Now they're putting in a jibe. Could be that they held them off. I doubt that Berlin can accelerate well in a position like that.
And the reason they're getting tense is because that yellow buoy they've just passed means they're a few meters away, and you can see the line now. They're a few meters away from it, and as things stand, it's probably going to go to the Germans. But it's so close, and it all depends on the camera angle. Right now, it could be the Norwegians. I think we're going to have to go with the Norwegians for a win in this first race of Flight 8.
Well, let me double check on the sailing analytics.
Second, we think the Germans from Wannsee, but also a battle for third between boat number 8 and the dark blue boat as well. The Austrians and the Swedes of KKKK Club fighting it out for third, as the Swedes from the Royal Swedish Yacht Club come in fourth place with the pink sails. So it's going to be very interesting to see the confirmed results of this race. We think it was the Norwegians.
I can confirm that. Well, that's what I get from the preliminary tracking results from the SAP Sailing Analytics. They just inched past just before the finish.
So the former winners of the Champions League and Christopher Spohn crossed the line just ahead of Philipp Kadelbach of Wannsee Sailing Club in Germany. Terrific race, breathtaking race, and it was also a really close race for third place, which in the end went to the KKKK Club from Gothenburg. So well done to Marcus Westerlind, a former European champion, and third in the world in the 470, and now just enjoying himself at the age of 47, taking on some of the youngsters here in the Champions League.
And it was an important race for them. They're currently ranked 16th overall. That will improve as the results of the second and third race of this flight comes in. So they're still on the cut. They can still make it.
The German team that came in second still remain in 7th place, but have closed the gap on those above them a little bit. But obviously not too much to be read into at this point, because we've only just begun the flight. So we still have 2 more races before we can start analysing, I think, the overall leaderboard. I think that's the Société Club Nautique of Geneva. No, it's not. We'll wait for confirmation on that sail number in a moment. But it looks like we're going to have a few minutes now as they swap crews and boats. Is that an unmanned boat?
An unmanned vehicle.
Well, either it's drifting one way or our camera's drifting the other way.
Maybe it's the ghost of St. Moritz that is steering it.
The Marie Celeste.
Yeah, but the wind is keeping up. We're in the 5 to 7 knot range. Good enough for racing.
Okay, looks like our reporter Tim Cruz is getting himself comfortable and in position. Tim, take it away.
Yeah, I've got Marcus with me. There's been a lot of yelling. First of all, congratulations. Well sailed. You were first and fourth. Like the position swapped all the time. It was very difficult. And in the end, there was a lot of yelling. What happened?
No, on the coming down to the finish, the German guys they jibed a little bit earlier, and we're trying to lift them up. and keep them outside, and then they went over at the top, and then they started yelling.
Yeah, I thought it was you.
No, it was not us.
You're too decent to yell at others.
Of course we are.
How was the race for you? It was for us watching it was extremely thrilling.
Okay, thank you. But you know, it's like throwing dice out here. You know, you just throw your dice, you go to 4 and you tack, or you go to the right if you have a number 2. So it's it's very very tricky.
How's it for who's doing the tactics of you guys? Kristen. Can we see Kristen? Maybe we have to move the camera a little so we can see Kristen. Kristen, how's it for you? Is it throwing dice?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But sometimes we make it, sometimes we don't, and it changes his lanes. But I guess it's the good guys always win. If you're in a good position to attack, you always, and you have good speed, then you can always take the changes in the win.
I mean, you're a great team. You won the Champions League in 2015. So every time you come to a Champions League event, I guess you want to win.
Of course, that's why we're here in St. Moritz. But
so others just come to qualify.
Yeah, no, we come to win, and just coming here is great, and it's a new experience sailing on this small lake. We haven't been doing that before.
Okay. Thanks a lot. You're not going to win here, I'm afraid, but Porto Travel is still open, so you can still win the whole thing.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, guys. Great sailing. Thanks. Back to you guys.
Can we ask another question, or are you going to be cleared off that rib? Can we ask another question?
Can you please say it again? Yes, please, go for it.
I'm just interested because I think there's a rule in Norway, in the National League, that they have to have an under-20, who I'm guessing is right in the middle of our picture.
Right exactly. You have this rule that you have to be under 20. One guy on board has to be under 20. Is that right? So it's you?
Yeah.
I thought it's you. No, I'm kidding.
That is
bad.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
Say it again.
14 years old.
Only 14? Yeah. It must be really exciting for you to come here.
It is. It's really fun.
Are you, what do you sail usually? Are you like a 29 or something?
I don't sail as much actually. I just got the opportunity to come and sail with this guy, so I took the opportunity.
So how did you get the opportunity? Is one of them your father or something?
Yeah, the tactiker is my father.
All right, so you can learn really good sailing here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Awesome, great. Yeah, he's 14, so he's probably going to win the Champions League in 20 years.
We won't be here then, that's for sure. Well, good luck to the Norwegians and Pele, 14 years old. It's all about who you know, isn't it? When your dad's on the boat, you've got a better chance of getting on board, haven't you?
It helps, for sure.
But also, it means that I'm guessing that they're lighter than other crews, which is kind of helpful in these conditions.
Didn't help him here, though. They're currently ranked 15th overall, so that wasn't the trick. And by the way, they spoke about speed and that you got to be fast to win. The analytics in the last race were counterintuitive. They were actually one of the slower boats, but they went a lot less distance.
So let's just have a quick look now at who we've got on board these boats as they count down to the start of the second race of Flight 8 on boat number 1.
Hellerup Sejlklub, Denmark.
Lucas Lear at the helm, former Champions League winners and based in Copenhagen. And at the moment, challenging for the title here in St. Moritz, just 2 points off the leaders. Then in boat number 2, we have the Norwegian team. Boat number 3, we have a Finnish team.
Vasa Segelförening, Finland.
Johan Neuvius at the helm of the team representing the city of Vaasa. And we'll run through the rest of the teams as the race unfolds, because we're 30 seconds away from the start of the race. The boat's inching towards that start line.
The next race is presented by Dedon.
10 seconds to go, and certainly the green boat with the fins on board is over early. We're going to see how many of these are going to be recalled.
And it sounds like an individual recall. There were boats over in the middle that will need to go back. There was a bias on the line on the right-hand side. That's why we don't see any boats down at the pin end. And we see the boats in the middle, they're trying to find some way to go back, to drop out, and now there's some shouting going on. Yeah, and I hear the word protest.
So in that situation, when the boats are bunched together, one of them has to turn around to go back. It's not that easy to do. What happens?
Well, you can just let go of the sails and slow down, so you drop out the back and then are able to bear away or tack.
Is that the only option?
That's the only option if you can't tack or jibe away because there's boats in the way.
Well, right out in the lead at the moment, Société Nautique de Genève, boat number 5 with the yellow sail. In second place are our overall leaders. So this is really a battle between the boat from Matze with the light green sail, boat number 4, and the Danes of Hellerup Sail Club, who have got boat number 1. So it's the black boat against the light green boat or turquoise boat. Those are the numbers that we're looking out for when discussing the battle for the overall title here in St. Moritz. But don't write off the Genevans yet, because they're in the hunt for the title as well. The Genevans in 3rd place overall. So this is a crucial race that could, in the end, prove to be the decider for the title in St. Moritz. It's a little bit of slow progress towards the top mark on leg 1.
We have Segelclub Matze again in the top bunch, currently ranked in 2nd place.
Boat number 4. They're our overall leaders. See them sitting in 3rd place at the moment on the screen. The black boat at the far side are the Danes, currently sitting 2nd overall, and the yellow boat is currently the 3rd place team overall from Switzerland, from Geneva, Switzerland. So the top 3 are the top 3 in this race. And so, the tricky game of chess that we've seen at the start of all our races in these light conditions is well underway as the first 2 boats tack. The Austrians delay it slightly, but tack as well. Everyone heading in the same direction now. Lucas Lear leading the fleet on his boat with his crew from Copenhagen, all of them under the age of 25. They round the top mark. Head downwind for the first time. And they come with some pedigree. The Hellerup Sail Club near Copenhagen, one of the most successful clubs in Denmark. In fact, in the world, having won some of the most Olympic medals, thanks to Paul Elfstrom, who was a member of this club. They are currently in the lead. Segelclub Matze, the overall leaders, still sitting in 2nd. Looks like the Swiss have just pipped them into 2nd now. Yes, you can see that yellow sail making its way ahead of the turquoise sail. We're now flying down towards the front of the fleet. Right ahead of them is the gate. with the Danes preparing to round that gate. Down will come the Jenica, and upwind they go.
Yeah, and that was a straight leg, a procession, if you like. The wind has shifted so far to the right that no jibing was required. Easy for the Vasa Segelvereinigung to defend their lead, but they have an OCS.
And I've just seen that the Geneva team also have an OCS. We're on board with them right now. And that certainly mixes up things as far as the overall leaderboard is concerned and may well cost them any chance of winning the title in St. Moritz.
And it does put Hellerup Sail Club in the lead and in close contention for winning this regatta. Even though with the first place that they currently hold here, they're on 18 points in the overall results. And the Segelclub Matze, who's in second place here, has 17 points overall. So it is a very tight battle between those two. Hellerup Sail Club, if they want to win this regatta, they definitely want to hold off Segelclub Matze, who's now currently like third here.
Now, will the Genevans know that they are OCS right now?
No, they won't know that.
So that's a bit of a shock that's awaiting them when they cross the finish line. They're sitting in second. They think they're second, but they are OCS. They cross that start line early. This result will not count for them. So the race looks like this. The Danes, Hellerup Sail Club, in the lead, followed by the Austrians from Matze, and currently sitting in third place. And they've come out of nowhere. The local club from St. Moritz, Segel Club St. Moritz, are now in third place.
In the sailing analytics, that is. The Société Nautique is not discarded from the leaderboard here, despite the OCS that they have. And here we have the top view towards that windward mark. And I believe they're going around the yellow mark now, which is up here. Nope, they must be going around this mark, the left one, otherwise this boat wouldn't be tacking here.
There are 3 marks laid, and
that's this one, and this one.
And the officials make a decision according to conditions and wind direction as to which one they have to round.
So boats are heading out to the right here to make it to that right-hand windward mark. And we can see the different angles the boats are sailing. That's how shifty it is out there. And I think it might have something to do with the valley in the background, or that little mountain in the background in the middle of the valley, where the wind sometimes washes in from the right and sometimes washes in from the left. Hellerup Sail Club safely in the lead.
Some stunning footage coming from our drone, sitting high up in the Engadine Valley, hemmed in by these tall mountain ranges. St. Moritz putting on a real show for the Sailing Champions League as our leaders round the mark and head downwind for the final time and head to the finish line in what will be a very significant result overall.
And Segelclub Matze has dropped to 4th place when we discard the OCSs.
So forget this boat going round now. That is the Genevans, who don't know that they have been OCS for starting early. And right behind them is the light blue boat of the Norwegian team. Ran Ran Sail Club.
It's Segelclub Matze in third place, which is really important for them because they still maintain the lead, but it's getting ever so close. They're on 17 points overall, and Hellerup Sail Club, who's currently leading, is on 18 points.
I think I'm catching your colour blindness. We've got to get them. We've got to get different colours between the light blue and the light green.
Maybe I need to get colour glasses.
But those are our leaders, with what is definitely a black sail. Hellerup Sail Club, heading towards the finish line. As one of the stragglers still heads up to the top mark. That's the Finnish team. Nielenska Yacht Klubben. Down towards the bottom gate, they'll pass through that, and then it's just a short sail to the finish line. And every one of the sailors on board this boat has had to qualify for a position on that boat. They have an internal qualification system at the Hellerup Sail Club in Copenhagen, and it seems to have worked because they have scored a significant result, beating the overall leaders in this race in Flight 8, and we will take a look at the overall leaderboard shortly. But the Danes have got it. The yellow sail of the Geneva Sailing Club will cross the line in second. It will not count as a result because they are OCS. So it's the light coloured green sail, a turquoise sail of Segelclub Matze that come in second place. And I think that will keep them top of the overall leaderboard. We will confirm it shortly. In third place, the red sail of the other Swiss team, Segelclub St. Moritz. And I think that that will be the local club's best result of the regatta so far.
That's what I thought as well when I saw him coming in as in third place, fourth place really, but discarding the OCS's third place. That's some line honors for them.
Yes, and well done to them. They're a team that were given a wild card for this entry as host sailing club, so it's good to see them score a podium result. Then comes in the light blue sail of the Ran Sailing Club from Norway. And the Royal Danish Yacht Club, you can see them at the far end, just crossing the finish line now. And so last in this race will be the Finns that put on such a good show, such good entertainment in the previous race today. Nielenska Yacht Klubben with George Tolberg, the bronze medalist from Moscow 1980 Olympics at the helm, and they will bring up the rear. Two other boats will finish as well, but they are OCS. Now, we have to wait for those other two boats to finish before we can confirm the overall leaderboard. But I think now that victory by the Danes means there is just 1 point separating them from the top club overall, Segelclub Matze of Austria. The Austrians began the day with a 5-point advantage. It turned into 7 points at 1 point. But the Danes just won't let them get away. Tim Kruse is on the water. He's with the winning team. And the question, I guess, will be, can they reel in that point and overturn the Austrians?
We're just looking at the results. So they have 18 points, and if I see that correctly, and they have 17. But let's see. That's it. You see? Only 1 point, so everything is possible. Did you expect that at all?
It was a long way this morning. I think we had 7 points up, but it's been some good races. Yeah, three first places so far today. So very good day.
Yeah, we saw that in St. Petersburg, that the last day is really deciding everything. There we had Hamburg winning almost everything in the last day, and they were only 8th after day 2. So everything is possible here. Yeah. Did you ever dream of reaching the podium?
I mean, our goal was to qualify for the final in Sardinia, so I think we're pretty decent going for that goal, but we're looking for the win now. Yeah.
It's always good to be humble.
Yeah.
How's it for you guys to sail here? Is it very different from your home conditions?
It's not that different. We just came from the league, the Danish league last week, and we were sailing inshore in the harbor in Aarhus. So much similar to this, light winds, a lot of shifty winds. So I think we're good prepared, very nicely. Yeah.
If you give us a little summary of these 3 days, how was it for you? Everything in St. Moritz so far?
Wet and cold, but today is very beautiful. Very beautiful scenery here. Yeah.
This is great sailing, so I guess you enjoy it.
Yeah, very much. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Good sailing. It's really thrilling, and let's see who's going to reach the podium and if you guys are going to hold that huge, very heavy trophy. I was carrying it before, if you're going to hold that up or not. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's a beautiful trophy. And we're in for a great climax to the weekend's regatta. One more race to go in Flight 8. The final 8 teams that we haven't seen yet in this flight will take to the water, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
We know that those teams in the teams in the next race can't beat the 2 leading boats anymore. They're already in the lead, and that's going to be the exciting battle for the next hour. That's going to happen with those boats battling it out for the victory, I assume. How close is it behind them? Next place boat, 5-point gap, or how much is it, Alec?
It's a 5-point gap to the third placed Austrian team of Ackensee. And they are equal on points, 23 points, with the Lindauer Sailing Club of Germany.
Okay, some more analytics from the last race. Clear correlation, speed matters. You had to be fast to win this. Hellerup Sail Club dared to go a little extra distance to achieve that result, and it didn't hurt them at all. So maybe it's worth going low and fast if you need to head towards some gusts. Also interesting, Société Nautique Genève. They did substantially more maneuvers, 30% more maneuvers, and maybe that's why it cost them some overall average speed. So let's see who comes out fast in the next race. Speed seems to be king today, and it does seem to be important. So, with 4 minutes to go to the next race, we have a view of the beautiful cityscape of St. Moritz. It reminds me of a model, a train model.
Yes.
It's like, that's what it looks like.
And talking of trains, we were talking earlier about the delights of St. Moritz. Well, one of the delights, I'm told, is the train journey back down the valley and into Zurich, which looking forward to doing tomorrow. It's a railway track that defies all sorts of engineering logic, apparently. So that should be quite hair-raising. Almost as hair-raising as the battle for the title here in St. Moritz between 2 teams, one from Austria and one from Denmark. But mathematically, I guess it is still possible for the 3rd or 4th placed club to pip them.
Mathematically it is, but they would have to clock in last places now in the last remaining races, and more than one last place in order to come close. So they have shown consistency, they have shown a good performance, and they're in the lead, well deserved, I would say.
So it's just gone 2 o'clock here in St. Moritz. It's difficult to kind of gauge how many races we've got on the schedule at the moment, because it'll depend on conditions. But a 4 p.m. start, I believe, is the cutoff for the final race. Just a few minutes away from the start. Let's see who's on which boat for this final race of Flight 8, starting with boat number 1.
Port Edgar Yacht Club, United Kingdom.
From the Scottish city of Edinburgh, the Port Edgar Yacht Club used to the strong tides of the North Sea, but they're saying that actually it's not very different from sailing in some of the Scottish lochs, and they're bringing all that experience to their sailing here in St. Moritz. On boat number 2, the light blue sail, that's the French club, Yacht Club APCC. They are from Nantes and sail on the Atlantic, the top-ranked club in France. They're the ones to beat in this race. And boat number 3 has the Austrians on board.
SCTVV Aachensee, Österreich.
Immense amount of experience on board this boat. They've got the Olympian, Carolina Flatscher, doing tactics, the 33-year-old who competed in Beijing in the 470, and Michael Meister has been doing the business at the helm so far. Then on boat number 5, we see once again the Germans in action from Lindau Sailing Club, and with the yellow sails, boat number 5 will have the crew from Italy.
Circolo Velico Ravennate, Italy.
The Circovelico Ravennate, 4th in the National League last year. That's how they qualified for the Champions League this year. Michele Mazzotti is the helm. Boat number 6 has the German team from Munich on board, the Bayerische Yacht Club. Boat number 7 is the one with the pink sail.
Sveiki, RS 280 Lietuva.
RS 280 from Lithuania. And this race is just getting underway now. And it looks like a clean start.
That was definitely a clean start. And we can see the wind has picked up. Let me check the analytics. We're at almost 8 knots now, almost a record for this weekend. Good breeze, clean start. And who got away clean? Let's have a look.
Looked like it was boat number 3 with the Austrians on board from Aachensee.
And also Lindauer Segelclub did a decent start. Econ Segelclub. And there was apparently, there's a boat doing turns. They got penalized by the jury. In the background, we could see that. So what I gather from the SAP
here
sailing...
we go. We can see them in this replay. So from our point of view, it looked like everyone was on time.
Yep, it was an infringement that caused that penalty to happen. And Bayerischer Yacht Club did well coming out of that start. So did Econ Sail Club all the way to windward. Lindauer Segelclub did all right, but didn't manage to pull away faster than Econ Sail Club. A little bit in the dirty air there.
But a disastrous start for the Italians from Ravenna in the yellow boat, now at the far side of the picture.
And as things have evolved, the Bayerische Yacht Club has managed to squeeze off the Swedes and has now taken the lead. Back in the lead, Econ Sail Club. Leads changing all the time. It's really close. Now both boats have tacked and the Swedes retain the lead, but they're bearing away now. Can the boats from the right-hand side slip in there? Cross coming up, and the boats on the right are taking the lead. Fresh breeze filling in from the right-hand side.
Not long to go now to that top mark, as you can see, just appearing on the screen there as the French club from Nantes head towards it in the lead. Right behind them, the Scots from Port Edgar Yacht Club, and then the Lithuanians. The French around.
And I just clocked 8 knots in the sailing analytics. I think it's the weekend record. So they are away with fresh breeze
Callum Calder at the helm of the Scottish boat. Begins the second leg. Here are the Italians. I said they had a disastrous start, but they moved their way up the fleet. And they're actually in third place now, the Italians. So whatever they did on that right-hand side of the course was the right option.
We see the leeward gate in the background. That's where the boats are heading towards. And the scenery couldn't be more beautiful.
Yeah, famous for its winter sports and its frozen lake, but in summer also puts on a spectacular show for sailing. It was home of the World Match Racing Tour for a number of years. So sailing fans will know these views well. But right now, the race we are watching is being led by the yacht club from Nantes, the APCC Yacht Club.
But at just a boat length lead ahead of Port Edgar Yacht Club. And Circolo Velico Ravenata, 44 meters behind currently in third place.
The French reached the halfway point of the race. Some distance now between them and second place. But the Italians are closing on the Scots, who round that bottom mark. And as they head upwind, we're on board with the Italians. Michele Mazzotti at the helm. And the young Federico Passini, 23 years old, on the bow, doing all the hard work. And now surely we've had a lead change.
Well, in the SAP Sailing Analytics, we still have the Yacht Club APCC Voile Sportif in the lead. But big gains for Lindauer Segler Club.
Yeah, the Germans seem to have come from nowhere. The Germans with the turquoise sail over at the far side of the lake.
Yeah, they headed out to the right-hand side and they seem to be doing well there, but a lot can happen on these upwinds.
We're on
Very
board
patchy.
On board with the current leaders. But the race is close. The lead changing by inches on a regular basis.
Based on the data, yeah, it is changing all the time. Also, the Italians coming into the equation. The right-hand side is choking now. Not much breeze on the right-hand side. And the Italians on the left-hand side. Yellow boat coming into taking over the lead, possibly.
But what a difference in the speed from the first leg that they did. They bombed it up this leg last time.
But now the Italians have to bear away. The right-hand side is coming back. It is a little bit like throwing dices.
And the Italians said right from the start that these conditions wouldn't suit them. They're used to the more constant winds and waves of the Adriatic. And they always said that they were going to struggle to read conditions here. But our leaders throughout the race are still the leaders at the top mark. The French from Nantes hoist the spinnaker and head towards home. But how big a distance between them and second place?
And home is in the background. On the drone footage, we can see the leeward gate and the finish line below.
The Swedes of Ekholm Sail Club rounded in second.
And that means a 4-place gain on this upwind for Ekholm Sail Club.
The Germans went round in third. Then come the Lithuanians and the Scots, who were in such a promising position.
Lost 2 places.
Are well down the fleet now. On board with the Italians.
And they're in for a jibe set. That's where Ekholm Sail Club, that's where the Swedish team has gained on the right-hand side of the course, looking downwind. I'm speaking about the left-hand side. So can they gain there again? And we're flying towards the finish line. Big lead for Yacht Club APCC Voile Sportive with a 70-meter lead, 80-meter lead. Nice work on that boat.
And in the grandstand on the shore, I think the other French club are shouting them on, as are some French fans and some Swiss French who are all coming down to support their compatriots and the French.
And they're currently lying in 6th, but it's ever so close behind. Not much in it between 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. They're all within 1 boat length.
And those positions are changing all the time. The one constant is the leader. They've led from start to finish pretty much. And the French cross the finish line. The French from the APCC Voile Sportive in Nantes celebrate their 2nd victory of the regatta. And they've been pretty consistent throughout their racing. Yes, they hit an 8th and a 6th. But otherwise, they've been up there in the podium places with 3 second places. And this, their 2nd victory. So a good weekend of sailing for the French. As we watch to see who comes in 2nd. It's boat number 8. They're the Swedes from Ekholm Sail Club, hot on their heels. Is the pink boat. And boat number 3. And we will get confirmation of who managed 3rd. It's the Lithuanians in 3rd. And then Austrians from Aachensee cross the line in 4th.
And it does look like the Scottish team was fighting back.
But look at that, the Germans who at one point were leading this race, well down the fleet in the end, just ahead of their compatriots from Munich. And then, where are the poor Italians? Where's that yellow sail?
So the biggest gain on this downwind came from Segelclub Aachensee, who gained 4 places. No gains on Port Edgar Yacht Club. Lindauer Segelclub lost 3 places. And also losses on Circolo Velico Ravenata, who lost 2 places on the downwind, dropping to last in this race.
So Edouard Gendreau, the Frenchman with 2 America's Cup campaigns to his name, has used and shown all his experience to bring his crew home for their 2nd victory of the regatta. The sun now is streaming over St. Moritz. It's an absolutely gorgeous scene. This venue known for its winter sports, 2 Winter Olympics it's hosted, but also absolutely stunning.
And after
summer.
3 days of rain and drizzle and cold temperatures, with the sun is now coming out for a beautiful Sunday afternoon with snowy mountains in the background.
The fans and supporters have quickly headed to the Sailing Club bar, which is, as you'd expect, a mountain lake club to look like. Lots of beautiful wood panelling. Lots of heating, which was vital over the last few days. The sailors went there to dry out. So let's confirm the results then. After 3 races of Flight 8, this is how it's looking. The Austrians and the Danes, they are the teams fighting it out for the title here in St. Moritz right now. Mathematically, but unlikely, are 3rd and 4th to catch the leaders. So the Germans and the Danes fighting it out for 3rd place, for that final podium position. And confirmation of that victory for the French team, and confirmation that they now sit in 6th place. But remember, it is the top 16 here in St. Moritz who go through. And right now, it's the Finns in 16th place. But they are equal on points with 2 other teams, the Lithuanians and the fellow Finns. So, who will go through? Well, the next flight is likely to be the decider of that. The big question is, Marcus, it's 2:22 here in St. Moritz. Are we likely to get 2 more flights in?
I don't think so. I think we're looking at one more flight. By the way, this is our studio that is planted on site. That's where we're sitting in. And we are running simple. And I think the race committees are going to run simple as well. And do just one more flight.
And I've often been described that as well. It's a glorious view, as you can imagine, from our windows. We would come and wave, but you won't see us because we have some exclusive smoked glass windows. Let's get out on the water. Tim Kruse doesn't have any luxury out there, but he's enjoying the sunshine instead, and he is with our French winners.
Exactly, Alec. I'm with Gérard Demaniel, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, you guys are showing that you're great sailors. You're club #1 in France. You had a terrible day yesterday, and I just heard you told me, because you haven't sailed the J70 before. So now you get used to it. Now you're winning. But why didn't you practice?
Yeah, but it's very difficult lake. The wind is very, very shifty and it's very difficult. But we start better than yesterday, and I think it's better for that. And the maneuver is better, and the communication inboard is better. I think it's for that.
Are you 4 used to sail together, or is it your first time?
It's the first time, yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's a big training. It's important because it's difficult. The wind is very, very shifty, and it's very difficult to communicate. The communication is very difficult, but you try to work for the communication better, and I think it's good now.
You're a very experienced and great sailor. You won the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And so are you the head of the crew and who is developing the whole sailing so it gets better and better? Are you the boss on board? Is that clear? Or is everybody talking with you?
Yeah, everything work with me, and I think it's a team. It's not one guy speak and finish, but yeah, but it's important to choose the leg, and it's not very easy to decide. But yeah, really, we discuss against the team, and
yeah. I've interviewed other people, other skippers, and they said it's more or less, especially in terms of tactics, it's like a lottery. Would you confirm that?
Yes, I think, because it's not very easy, and the wind is very shifty, and it's difficult to see the wind. But now we have 4 places in the top 2. I think it's not really a lottery.
Yeah, no.
But it's very difficult, because hard to choose the right and the left tactician board.
Yeah, so now you're 6th, I think. So you're going to qualify for Porto-Chevo. It looks like it.
Yeah.
And then you're already used to the boat. You're better together. Is the same crew going to sail there?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know. It's we will see after this event which team we go to the final.
Okay.
But we continue to work together, and we will see.
Okay, Gérard. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Bon courage. And we have got the Scots here, so let's just continue if we've got the time. Just a second. They had a great race before. Now you had a terrible race. What happened?
We just got caught the wrong side of a couple of shifts, and we got a couple of boats in between us, so it was very difficult to get back to the right side of the course, and it all went downhill from there, unfortunately. All right. Well, sorry to hear that. We had a good start, and that was the main thing, you know. So it's improving-ish. all right. Thank you very much, guys. Good luck. I really hope to see you guys in Porto Chavo. So we have at least one English team speaking English there, like mother language, and that's better. But this was very good French, English. That's good. It's good. Thanks a lot. We have to go back because they're all in a hurry now to swap boats and all. So I'm going back, guys. Okay.
Okay, thanks very much, Tim. We've got about 4.5 minutes to the start of the first race of Flight 9. This is how the overall leaderboard looks, just to confirm. 1 point between the teams. They were talking about it being a bit of a lottery. Do you agree with that?
Well, you look at the leaderboard and you can see some boats are just more consistent. In the case of Segel Club Matze, my assumption is they're faster. Hellerup Sail Club, also one of the faster boats. They're probably on the light side, but they also do really good tactics. And it's not an entire lottery. There's always variations in the conditions. Some sailing conditions are only about boat speed. Other sailing conditions are about a mix of tactics and strategy. And others are only about strategy and tactics and a lot of luck. I think we're still somewhere in the middle ground here.
So the title is being fought over between those top two clubs, and the Danes are lining up to start their final, or what we think will be the final race of the event, and that is what they are battling for. A beautiful trophy, a brand new trophy, marking the champions here in St. Moritz, designed by Adriana Monk, the famous designer. She's done Rolls-Royce interiors, she's done Volvo Ocean Race boats, stroke of genius, representing the mountains of the area and, of course, the J70 boats on the lake here in St. Moritz. So not long to go now to the start of Flight 9. Time to meet the teams, I think. And in boat number 1, that's the one with the black sail, we have one of the Swiss teams.
Société Nautique Rolloise, Suisse.
Olivier de Cocatrix from the Société Nautique in Rolle. It's near Nyon. So they are well used to the mountains and mountain conditions, although obviously Lake Lac Le Mans or Lake Geneva, a very different prospect from this one here in St. Moritz. Then come our second-placed Danes, who are trying to fight their way to the top. Hella Cup Sail Club are in boat number 2 with the light blue sail. Then comes boat number 3. Who's in that?
SCDWV Aachensee, Österreich.
Michael Meister, the helm, back in action again with his team from Aachensee, Stefan Warminger, Matthias Schmidt and Karol Flascher, all in action shortly. Then comes boat number 4 with the turquoise sail. That is the Swedish Sailing Club, the Royal Swedish Yacht Club. Boat number 5, that's got the yellow sail, and it's the other French team that we haven't seen in action for a while.
CVSE France.
Their target when they came was simply to qualify. Well, they've got their work cut out to do that, and we will follow their progress as this race unfolds. Boat number 6 has the German team from Munich on board, the Bayerische Yacht Club. And then there comes boat number 7 with the pink sail.
Segelclub St. Moritz, Schweiz.
The local club have struggled so hard throughout the weekend, but they came good with their best result earlier on this afternoon, a third-placed finish. Can they do it again? Boat number 8 with the dark green sail is the Finnish team, and we will see them getting underway in action in just a few minutes' time, Marcus.
Yeah, it's about 3.5 minutes to go.
The next race is presented by Badrut's Palace.
So this is the playing field for the next race. We've got the starting line down here between the starting boat and the pin end. And we've got one of these 3 marks up here that the boats have to head to. The race officer raises a flag and decides where to go. And then the boats can decide whether they want to go up left, they want to go up right, or they want to zigzag through the middle and take some shifts and puffs there. And then it's downwind to this gate, and they can decide whether they want to go left here or right here. Again, zigzag up the beat, very short beat, and then it's down to the finish again, and the finish line is the same as the start line.
Very succinctly explained, Marcus. Excellent stuff.
So, what sailors are doing now is that they look upwind and they look for darker patches. They look for those areas with a little bit more wind. And if our camera by any chance could swing up a little bit, we would see the mountain range that has some dips and some valleys. And we would see that the wind can blow a little bit more out of the valley in the middle. And there's another valley on the right-hand side. And this is creating lanes and patches that make all the difference.
Not to forget the River Inn that enters at the south end of the lake. Current travels through the lake and exits at the north end.
Haven't heard from the sailors, though, that current plays a big role. It seems to be very, very light.
Heads on to Innsbruck, which is where the city gets its name from.
And then to the Black Sea.
Indeed. We got the geography sorted. Now, let's get to the racing, because we are just over a minute away from the start of flight number 9. The boat to really keep an eye out for is boat number 2, the Danish boat from Hellerup Sail Club, currently sitting just 1 point behind the leaders overall. They need to win, and then it's out of their hands and they can do no more.
If this is the last flight, which we assume but don't know yet. Advantage on the right-hand side of the line. Currently can't see the pin end, but we can see that everybody's close to the committee boat. That is the right-hand side of the line. Start mark's going to come into the picture soon at the bottom. Everybody bunching up on the right-hand side with 25 seconds to go. This is going to be a very difficult start. Where is Hellerup Sail Club placed at the moment? They're right in that bunch. They got to make sure that they get a gap to actually squeeze in. They could easily get squeezed out. And some boats are getting pushed over. One of them is, I need to zoom in the SAP Sailing Analytics to find out who is it. That's the Core SSSS. And it looks like there was an individual recall. Core SSS was definitely one of the boats which were farthest forward, and I'm sure they need to go back. Hellerup Sail Club had a good start.
Well, you can see their sail number 2 there. It looks like they're going back to restart, the Danes.
Are they? Well,
Yes,
then they were
is.
over early, but then almost everybody must have been over early.
That is a disastrous start for the Danes, and it's going to be difficult for them to make this up.
But I'm trying to make sense of it because I can't see a point where they were over or the most in front.
We'll have a replay as boat number 8 with the fins on board seems to be leading the fleet right now.
Let's have a look. Hellerup Sail Club in the middle of the bunch. And as we're zooming in, oh, they were really close to the boat. And they're bearing away here now. Ah, that's probably when they were over. At this point,
it's difficult to tell without a clock on the screen.
And they tried to save themselves by going back, and then they might have even had an incident with the French team.
Unless that's why they were actually, maybe it was a penalty they did. We'll watch this, see what they do.
Well, I can have a look at the sailing analytics and find out
But certainly they look like they're going back here.
No, they did a restart, and that's bad news for them. Good news for the team from Austria, from Matze.
And so the Danes who need to win this race are right at the back of the fleet. You can just see them on the right-hand side of the screen, but those are our leaders. The Austrians from Achensee in first place, followed closely by the Germans from Munich. Then comes the yellow sail of the French team from Saint-Aubin-Elbeuf.
Yep, and the wind has shifted far to the right. Not much of a upwind at the moment. A bit of a follow the leader scenario.
So just to confirm, because getting a little bit of counter information here. So that green boat with the number 8 sail is the Finnish boat from the city of Vasa. They are leading with the Germans in second. The red-coloured boat, number 6.
In the foreground.
And then come the French. Saint-Aubin-Elbeuf.
And I wonder if the team from Hellerup, from Copenhagen, close to Copenhagen in Denmark, can do magic in this race in these difficult conditions. They're now heading out to the right-hand side, where we've seen... Early on today, we've seen a bit more breeze, but everybody else is going there as well. So they're going to hit the ley line and have a bunch of boats in front of them. They're in a bit of a desperate spot right now.
I think what we saw there was their eagerness to attack, their eagerness to be aggressive in the start, to get away early, and they paid the price for that. They got it wrong, and now they're right at the back of the fleet.
But they're still in second place overall. That's how much of a lead they had. And bear in mind, this is the first race of this, probably of the final flight. Everybody's going to clock in more points who's behind them in the overall results.
We have a lead change at the top mark with the Germans, the Bayerische Yacht Club, now in the lead. Heading downwind for the first time and looking a lot faster than the rest of the fleet.
And we're looking downwind towards that leeward gate that boats are heading sailing towards, and it's here and here. Those are the two gate marks. If we can get them on screen.
No, but there we go.
There they are. That's where they have to go, and it means they head it out in this direction, then jibe, and then they need to make a decision whether they want to go around the left mark or the right mark.
So the fleet is beginning to spread out now. We've got the top two moving away. The third-placed French team rounding the mark, trying to close the gap between them. But I think it's safe to say the top three are away now. Obviously, in these conditions, things can change all the time, but what we're watching is a battle, I think, for the top 3 spaces. However, where can the Danes finish? They're currently sitting in 6th at that top mark. Can they move up? Every position will help them when it comes to the final overall standings.
And here you have the team close up, and you can see everybody's moving super carefully because nobody wants to disturb the flow on the sails.
Julian Altenriet at the helm, former Optimist world champion, and currently campaigning to go to Tokyo and compete in the 470 for Germany. Right now, he's focused on competing for a spot in the Champions League final in Sardinia at the end of the month. And you're absolutely right. Look, it's the equivalent of tiptoeing on the water, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's chess on water, and you have to be super careful. Brute force doesn't help you at all.
Can Johan Neovius at the helm of the Vasa Sailing Club boat close that gap on the Germans? We're watching them round that bottom mark, just outside our commentary box.
And they are taking the right-hand one. and the Finns are going around the left-hand one. That's going to be an interesting split. Which side is better? And as I'm looking out the screen, I can tell you, Alec, I don't have a clue.
But I guess what the Finns have decided is, well, we can't just play follow my leader. We've got to take a decision. If we're going to win this race, we're going to have to do something different.
Yeah, it looks like decent breeze on the right-hand side, but not so bad on the left-hand side either. At the moment, I put my money on the left-hand side.
Société Nautique Rolloise of Switzerland are round that bottom mark in 4th place.
And in picture, the top 2 boats, one on the far end, one on the close end. And it's the Finns which are on the close end. We can see the Finnish flag in the back, and they are taking the lead. Now they lost the lead again. That's the advantage line shifting back and forth.
And it just tells you how close it is and how slightest mistake or misreading of the conditions will see them lose that lead.
In the overall scheme, these boats are probably out of contention. They're placed 18th and 17th, but it's a wonderful split we see here. So who's going to win this one? At the moment, it looks like Bayerischer Yacht Club is. Another nice shot. Alec, you've been talking to that sailor with the red hat today. Did he give you some inside info about what that secret weapon can do?
He said it's the warmest hat he's ever worn, and he absolutely needed it on the lake over the last few days. I think he'll be a bit sweaty today, personally.
It's really nice today.
He picked it up in St. Petersburg. It's a genuine hat.
And here we have the split concluding, if you like, the advantage line shifting a little bit. Looks like Vasa has the upper hand. Will they come across? I think they will.
Do you think it's a straight line for the Finns? Straight line to the mark?
Yep, I think they're on the ley line, or they have crossed the ley line, and it does look like they got fresher breeze. And the Bavarians are just giving in. They're tacking away. And I think it's safe to say that the left-hand side has won. Interesting development also on the left-hand side with the Club de Val Saint-Aubin-Boeuf, who's also closing in.
But the Germans are at the mark first.
Yep, it looks like, it does look like they went too far. The Finns just went too far, and they're squeezing in. Did they have an overlap?
Inside.
This could be a protest situation, but I think they did have an overlap. So I think they're safe. Very, very tight rounding. Both boats slowing down dramatically, and now it's down to the finish of this first race.
We've been describing how important every decision and every move on board those boats is. Well, it gets more and more important because this is now the final leg, and there is no opportunity to make up ground caused by mistakes. The Germans nominally in the lead ahead of the Finns. Then comes the yellow sail of the French team. They're heading straight down the lake as we look at it, and that's where our drone is heading now, so that we can watch the climax to this first race of Flight 9. And it is pretty much neck and neck between the three leaders.
We should forget about Hellerup Sail Club, currently lying in 5th. It's still close, I believe. And we shouldn't forget they don't have to win the race to win the regatta. Because Matze still has to sail. If they put in a bad result, anything could happen.
But if things stay as they are, then I think Matze would have to certainly come last.
Yes. Well,
and we haven't seen...
Well, we'll see. We'll see when it's up. I wouldn't write him off. And I think there's still 1 or 2 places to gain for Hellerup Sail Club in this race.
The Germans now opening up a gap between themselves and the other 2 boats. And it's a fairly constant gap, round about 15 metres. And they're coming back down towards the finish line. And And we can see that there is about a boat length between the first two, and I'd say a boat length and a half between second and third. We're looking at the Germans, the leaders, who just have to keep going as they are, and the race will be theirs. It looks on this picture with the camera angle as if the Finns are closing on them, but the gap has remained fairly constant. Now, there's a manoeuvre from the front boat. What are the Finns going to do? How will they respond?
This manoeuvre surprises me a bit. I must say that they're jibing away, now sailing in a right angle to the finish line, where the Finns are heading straight towards the finish line. Little bit surprised about that move by the Germans. They will definitely need one jibe to come back, and I think they lost it. I think they gave in to the Finns. The Finns are going to go straight to the finish.
The Germans have messed it up. The Finns now heading towards that little orange buoy at the bottom of the screen. That is the finish line, and the Finns win it. The Sail Club from Vasa take the first race of Flight 9. And
No,
really, they plucked victory out of nothing there.
That's what you call an unforced error.
What on earth were the Bayerischer Yacht Club doing? What were they thinking to move, to manoeuvre when they were so close to that finish line? And that'll be a question to ask the helmsman, Julian Autenried. And look how far they finished behind in the end.
Definitely.
That is exactly the same distance, the same advantage they had before they jibed away.
Definitely an unforced error.
But somehow the French team in third from Saint-Aubin are now battling, scrapping it out with the Société Nautique of Switzerland. The French seem to be in the hunt, an easy third place. I'm not quite sure what's happened to them. Whilst we were watching the leading boats, they've allowed themselves to be caught by the Swiss.
And the wind has completely died out on the back there. The spinnakers are collapsing.
Hey, look, far side of the course, guess who's coming in?
Hellerup Sail Club.
You can't see it on the screen. You can just see them just behind that flapping yellow spinnaker, the light blue colours of the Danish team.
And they could be coming back from the dead. After all, they're
There's
the
a
only
protest
boat.
flag on board the French boat.
Oh, Hellerup Sail Club spinnaker collapsing as well now, ever so slightly. They're still moving. They're still moving.
Now we have got 3 boats, all in a bit of a mess there. Is it going to allow the Danes, boat number 6 there, Hellerup Sail Club, to come through? Remember, the Danes are chasing the best position possible as they chase the overall title. So first and second's been decided. Race won by Vasa Sailing Club of Finland. Then came Bayerischer Yacht Club. But what about third place?
Now that's a serious snail race we see here now. But I'm excited about it, I must say. I want to see Hellerup pass them. Staying in contention to win.
Certainly it looks like they're sitting in a complete hole. All of those boats now. And I'm not sure the Danes are going to be able to pull anything out of this any more than any of the other teams.
But they're the only ones who are still moving.
There's the light blue sail of the Danes. We can't write off the other Swedish club in that sort of aquamarine blue that we keep confusing with the light blue. They are the Royal Swedish Yacht Club. Well, I think it's going to be a few minutes before we get a conclusion to this. Let's go to Tim on the water. Let's hear from the team that threw away the lead, hear what happened, and then we'll come back to find out who came third. Tim.
Exactly. So as you see, there's nothing happening out there. So we have a quick minute. What happened? What did you do? Why did you throw away the victory?
Fortunately, we didn't see the pin end, so we thought...
You didn't see the pin end?
No.
Funny thing is, it's right behind us. Is it so hard to do? Is it so hard to see?
Well, we were all in leeward well, except the trimmer, and yeah. So I just tried to see below below the spinnaker, and they were pinching very low. So at some point, I thought they would jibe, so we did the jibe. But yeah.
You guys need every point to qualify.
Yeah, and that's why we're all a bit pissed. But I mean, if you look at the... Well, they're cancelling the race now.
They're cancelling the race, guys, just for your information, because there's really no wind at all.
Yeah.
Will this count anyways for you?
What do you mean?
The second place? No, it's over then.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Well, it matters for us. We need all the points. So.
Yeah. It's a little sad because, you know, being German, of course, I want the Germans to see you guys, getting to know you better, to see you all in Italy. Do you think you're going to make the qualification still?
Well, it's super tight. I did not. We had
It's a couple
two
of
races in the like right behind each other, so we did not see the results now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that it's super tight. So.
Okay, Julian.
Well, we were absolutely not lucky the last day, so.
Yeah, and then I know once you have the streak of not getting along well, then it like one mistake adds to another. It's so hard to get out of this.
It were different mistakes every time, so yeah. And it's not really one thing that we could say we did wrong. So.
Okay. Good luck. Thanks a lot. It's really nice that you came anyways, because I know you're really pissed off.
Well,
thanks a lot. Bye-bye. See you later.
So one mistake and a bit of bad luck for the Germans cost them the victory. But in the end, the really lucky team are the Danes, who are chasing the overall lead. They blew it at the start. They had to go round and start again. They were over the line early. And this race has been cancelled. So their mistake will not count. They're going to have to re-race this. There are time limits, and there are obviously certain wind conditions that need to be in place for the race to continue. And the jury have decided that this is not the case right now. So, race cancelled. Nothing counts for Flight 9. And we started again as soon as the race officials decide that conditions are okay to race.
And I think we need to count at least 1 hour for a complete flight. And we know that the time limit is 4 o'clock. And we know that the race committee didn't want to start a flight if it's obvious that they're not going to finish it. So I think a decision could be made in the next 15 minutes whether racing continues or not.
Well, what a way to end the regatta. In suspense.
So maybe an opportunity to look at the overall leaderboard.
If things remain as they are, then that victory goes to the team that have impressed us so much, especially yesterday with some extraordinary victories. They are the Segel Club Matze of Austria, a young sailing team helmed by Stefan Scharnagel. His sister Anna calls the tactics on board that boat. And as things stand, they will have pipped the title in St. Moritz by 1 point, and they will win that beautiful trophy that we saw earlier on in the programme. And Hellerup Sail Club, however, sit on their boat with bated breath and hope that they get another chance at the cherry with another race soon. So we're going to dispatch our reporter Tim Cruz off to speak to the race officials and find out what they're thinking and what the prospects are for more sailing. But as you can see out there, there's not a lot of wind, and it's not looking particularly optimistic. As an experienced sailor, you're looking out across the water from the commentary box, Marcus. Are you optimistic?
No, I'm not. I have to be honest. This looks as glassy as it can get. You can see the mirror image of the mountains in the water. It's beautiful, but it's not good for any sort of sailing.
It has been extraordinary how the conditions have changed literally by the minute. Lovely breeze and then no breeze at all. Let's find out then what the thoughts are of the men in charge of this regatta. Here's Tim.
Well, Alec, I don't have many news, especially not good news. This is really flat. There's nothing happening. So the wind from the north just broke down totally because we have a slight thermic coming from there. but as the mountains are white, the thermic is not really strong. So it's like 1 minus 1 equals 0, so we have nothing here. And we have a very frustrated race officer, Thorsten Pech here. Thorsten, just a quick talk. I know you've got something else to do and you're not too happy. Could you quickly tell us what's going to happen?
Yeah, we need to abandon the last race because the wind was totally going flat. Right now it looks like we cannot start again as the wind stays away. So it's really disappointing. Tough call, at least. It looks like pretty much. Well, we will see what's going to happen here.
There's a breeze coming there.
Well, we will see if we get any stable in here or not.
How are the sailors reacting? I can tell they're not too happy, are they?
Of course, that's two boats. You know, I can totally understand a few sailors don't like this decision because we abandoned after boats finishing, which we can do considering the fairness of all. But of course, this is a call I have never done before, and it's a call that is that I try to avoid in every time. But you know, you have to consider the fairness of all, which is
it's true. And just to explain why he did this call, there were boats going into this direction, trying to go this direction. So what can you do? Being a race officer, you have to cancel a race. I see the Bavarians stand there being very unhappy because it's the second race where they performed all right and it's been cancelled. So, but that's sailing. It's very hard, and it's just the way it is sometimes. Thanks a lot, Thorsten, for talking to us anyways. And let's see how it goes on. We are going to take a little break, I guess.
Okay, fingers crossed. Thorsten Pech, the race director, looking and sounding very frustrated by conditions. He's probably the man who's worked hardest all weekend. And
and frozen most because you stay out there and it's cold and you don't move at all. I mean, that's the race committee. My wife kept saying yesterday, I feel sorry for the race committee.
But he feels frustrated because he is passionate about doing the right thing for the sailors. He wants them to have a good time.
By the way, nice shot from our drone, and you can see some wind filling in from the top of the lake, from the east, that is, and maybe that's going to come back, and we do get some breeze. But now it's getting tough. It's becoming a tough call because it's very unlikely that they'll manage to do a complete flight.
Well, let's just look back at that race that's just been cancelled, because we had one on Friday that we didn't televise. We weren't on air for that. In fact, I think it was this. There were only 2 attempts. There was one race that counted on Friday, and then one that they cancelled in the same way as this one was cancelled. And as Tim was saying, it's very frustrating for the German team because they happen to have performed well in that race as well. Anyway, point is, should he or shouldn't he have cancelled that race? We had a winner and a second place, and we were actually quite getting into who was going to come in third.
Well, it is an unusual move, and he mentioned that. He never did that before, or not often at least. And usually if you have a finisher, you continue on. And if you abandon before the first boat finishes. But it looked like the boats were completely dead in the water, and we wouldn't have had boats finishing from 3rd to 8th place. So they
but the
would
extraordinary thing was for Thorsten, in having to take that decision, he couldn't really have done it before they crossed the finish line.
Absolutely.
Because it looked fine.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I thought this race would finish, and I think considering the fairness of all is always a worthwhile thought, and I think it was a tough call for them. We could see that he wasn't happy with it, but nobody would want to be in that position.
Now, I'm just going to try and go more into what's happening wind-wise, which Tim's touched on. The Maloja wind normally blows down the valley from the south, from Italy. It's a relatively warm wind that kicks in the afternoon, and it blows in winter as well, by the way. And I think that's what is trying to work its way across the lake, but it's hitting the north wind, and because of the snowy mountains that the south wind, the Maloja wind, is having to cross, the two are sort of battling it out and ending up with zero effect.
Yep, that can happen. It's just the way it is. I think we've seen 8 good flights so far. The conditions were surely difficult, but if it so happens that this 9th flight cannot happen due to these battling forces, so be it. That's part of sailing.
But St. Moritz looking absolutely gorgeous in this early autumn sunshine with the light dusting of snow that it's had over the weekend. And down there somewhere, can't quite pick it out on that picture, is the old Olympic Stadium, the Winter Olympics of 1928 and 1948. The stadium is still standing, as is the bobsleigh track, the Cresta Run. There's so much sporting history in this town. It's almost worth visiting just for the sporting sites. And it was wonderful that earlier this year they rebuilt and regenerated the podiums, where they had all the medal ceremonies from those 2 Winter Olympic Games. They rebuilt it, restored it in time for the medal presentations of the 2017 Alpine Skiing World Championships.
We're now looking back upwind in that area where I saw the breeze filling in a little early, and it looks glassy again. I think we're going to see, I think the likelihood of the race officer abandoning this final flight is the likelihood is going up.
So is that a decision that Torsten Pietsch makes on his own, or is there going to be a little sit down with the race committee?
Well, he is the race committee. He's the race manager. He's the head of the race committee. But I'm sure they're also talking to the management of the Sailing Champions League. And considering fairness, if you get a flight where you only get 1 or 2 races, and then the last race can't be done due to time constraints, you have to give average points to the boats that didn't finish the race, and that's also not the best way to finish a regatta. So they're more leaning towards finishing with complete flights, and it's now becoming pretty obvious that the last 60 minutes won't be enough to finish a complete flight. Having said that, as I speak, there is some breeze filling in again from the east, northeast. So it might change.
Well, we're on board the Swedish team, the Royal Swedish Yacht Club, who are not in the top 10. But this is how it's looking with, at the moment, as things stand. If racing is abandoned, then the Austrians are going to win that beautiful trophy here in St. Moritz, pipping the Danes by just 1 point. All those sailing clubs you see there will qualify for the Champions League final in Sardinia later this month. Who else? Because it's the top 16 who go through. So let's look at the other end of the leaderboard.
Page 2.
There we go. And the battle then is between the Lithuanians
and the Finns.
And
actually tied on points, it's Club de Voile Saint-Aubin.
And interestingly, the Finns, Vasa Sailing Club, are the team that won the last race. So that would have been a very significant result, because then the Lithuanians would have had to have raced later on.
And I can imagine that's part of the reasons why someone complained about that abandonment.
So not just the Germans will have been disappointed, the Finns will have been livid by the decision. But as we've discussed, there wasn't much option there for the race director. So we await a decision from the race committee. Are we going to have sailing, or are we not going to have any more sailing? It's a difficult call to make. Look, it's so flat, is what he's saying. I'm not sure what we can do. Oh, I thought he was about to make an announcement on the radio. There's a man in a quandary. What shall I do? What shall I not do? Look at the wind there. Look at the wind there.
Yeah, it's good breeze right now. It's tempting.
And our reporter will be the first to know because he's standing right beside the race director.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you
Go
guys
ahead.
hear me?
Go
All
ahead.
right, all right, right. So let's just listen to him.
Sorry.
Sorry, we can't. It's like investigative journalism here.
You're just too nosy, Tim.
It's annoying.
The wind really
He doesn't-
sucks.
yeah, he
It's
doesn't
very unstable, and I don't want to have one flight in and then one flight out. And if you see a few seconds ago,
1.8 and it was 8 before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel a little like a terrible journalist. You know, like those English guys at your country, Alex. So, let's go
so
like
you're
this.
saying, Tim, that the wind is changing from about 1.5 knots to 8 knots.
Exactly. It's crazy. Right now it's 1.1, 1.0. It's ridiculous. You can't say it like that. And he's got the worst job, and I feel so bad for him. And he's really not happy at all. And he's doing the hardest work, you know, of them all, because he's responsible for every single race. And right now, we've got 3.5,
And he's got a annoying journalist on his back.
It's just, yeah, the worst one he can ever imagine.
But listen, Tim. Listen, Tim. You've been speaking to some of the teams there. Who do you think has impressed you most with their spirit in this regatta?
In this, you mean the whole venue?
Yeah, over the weekend. You've spoken to pretty much all of them.
I've spoken to all of them, it's right. You know what? Lindau, I didn't expect anything of them because they haven't done good at all in the league. And they're doing quite well here. And I like the way they treat each other because in the league they were really not, the whole atmosphere on board was not good. And here they work together. You've got the feeling they want to qualify for Porto-Cervo. Is there anything else coming? No. And so they impressed me. But, you know, everybody is doing a great job here. It's so difficult. This is the most difficult sailing you can imagine.
Just you're talking about Lindau, you know, with Fight Hemeta at the helm, and am I getting the pronunciation correct? Given you were coaching me for most of yesterday evening.
Very well done, well done. Fight Hemeta.
So he's you know,
it's like fight in English.
Yeah, he's with a crew that they've all sailed together since they were kids almost, but on comes an 18-year-old comes on board, Yannick Netzband, to fill in for one of the regular crew. So it has been difficult for them.
It's been very difficult because, you know, Fight's sister, Theresa, was on board for the last seasons, and they went from second league to first league, and they are just a perfect team. She's not only a great sailor, she's a great woman too. She's a jurisdiction, she's awesome, and she's really kind of the spirit of the whole team, and she's kind of missing now. And of course, an 18-year-old can't replace that. So they're trying to find themselves, and I've got the feeling they're finding themselves now, right here in St. Moritz, and that's impressive. And you can see it takes a while to get back as a team and to function as a team. So it's interesting to see how they develop, and I think they're going to make Porto-Cervo for sure. And then let's see how they perform down there.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, they're in 7th place, so I think we can be pretty sure. Well, they have qualified for the final in Porto-Cervo, so that's good. I tell you who's impressed me. I spoke to him briefly on Friday, but obviously I've been listening to your interviews with the helm of Segel Club Matze, Stefan Scharnagel. Yeah. Just 21 years old. He spent the summer in Bermuda helming with the Austrian America's Cup youth team. And he, right now, is hoping that sailing is going to be cancelled because it'll mean that they are champions here in St. Moritz. But what a talent. I think we've lost him.
Oh, well, now I hear you again. Please can you repeat the question?
I was just saying, what a great talent Stefan Scharnagel is.
Oh, yeah, he for sure he is. You know, he's so young. You just said he's 21. He is probably one of the most talented sailors we've got here. And he's got 3 women around him, and they they're doing so well. He's got his sister on board.
Anna.
And he said usually they always yell at each other. Yeah, and they try not to yell at each other. And here it's just going so well. So they're having the time of their lives. This is their weekend. And I'd be happy to see a 21-year-old winning the Champions League here in St. Moritz. That would be, nobody would ever have counted on them. So, you know, we all love all these little surprises. So that would be great. I would love to see them as a winner here.
I mean, even if we do get another flight away, which is looking highly unlikely right now, and for some reason Matse get beaten to the trophy, even so, second place would be pretty impressive for a crew that had never really sailed together. They sail in different combinations and in different sorts of boats, but for them this is all new.
Yeah, it is. You know, imagine, I mean, you're a sailor and all our audience are sailors, most of them at least. Imagine you come to a lake that you don't know, with a crew you don't know, on a boat that you're not too familiar with, and then you win this thing at the age of 21. Or even if you're second, doesn't matter. And that's the thing that's really impressive. And he is one of the most talented sailors, and I think we're going to see a lot of him in international sailing. Maybe even on the Olympics, you never know how he's going to develop.
As we wait for the final decision, let's talk a little bit more about St. Moritz, which I find such a fascinating place. It's such a tiny patch of water we have here, and it's so much crazy stuff that happens on it and around it. The place seems to have a knack for doing crazy things. They were the first ones that invented bobsledding, didn't they? Or that they had the first bobsledding track.
They invented
and exactly where we are standing now, where we are looking at now in the winter, they have polo matches. I mean, they have a knack for crazy ideas, I suppose.
I have to say, as the only Brit on this production, that the bobsleigh was invented in St. Moritz by a few crazy Brits.
That's why Britain is such a great winter sport country.
Well, you know, we like to leave a legacy for the world to beat us at.
Maybe Eddie the Eagle has an apartment in St. Moritz.
I don't think he could afford it, to be honest.
Well, maybe.
But it's great to have a look round, and there is a road that crisscrosses and almost follows the bobsleigh track, which is the only bobsleigh track in the world that is still used, is in existence, and is built out of the natural landscape around us, and you can see the dips and the bends and so on built into the forests and the fields.
Well, it's my first time I was here, and I can honestly say I love the place. It's great, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
And we hope to come back next year. Right now, we're wondering whether we're going to get any more racing. If you've just tuned in, then I can tell you that we have an update from Tim on the water. Let's find out. Is it good or bad, Tim?
Oop. All right, you see this? Guys, you see this flag?
AP over N, it means no more racing today. That's it. Congratulations to Segelclub Matse.
So the champions here in St. Moritz by just 1 point. Segelclub Matse, they win it. 17 points.
And I can see some hugging going on and looking out of the studio right there. That's where they are. They're really, really happy.
We're looking at the blue.
Oh, they're super happy.
Light blue boat with the number 2 on the sail. We'll get our drone there as soon as we can to see the celebrations on board as Stefan and Anna Scharnagel, Hannah Ziegler and Lisa Maria Limgruber celebrate their victory in St. Moritz. The Austrians from Salzburg can claim victory. They don't do it necessarily in the way they would have liked because of the postponement, but nonetheless, it's been an impressive performance all weekend here in St. Moritz.
And we don't have our cameras on them at the moment, but I can tell you they are relieved, and this means a lot to them. They're really, really happy, celebrating out here.
And now making their way back to the pontoon, back to shore, they're hoisting their spinnaker because that's their only way of getting back.
And that's where they are, just right in front of our studio. That's the little group of sailors standing there. That's the team who has won. And we're just closing in on them, and then they'll make their way to the VIP tent, looking forward for the prize giving that's coming up. What a great performance by them. They had one bad race. Other than that, they never finished worse than second place. That is an amazing performance.
Yes, 3 victories to
And
their name.
yeah, here they are. Here they are. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so they make their way back to shore now, and we'll do our best to follow them back to shore, and we'll do our best to speak to them as well. We're going to get them into the studio right now.
Yeah.
All shuffling along. Got to try and get as many of them as possible. Stefan Scharnagel, the 21-year-old that we were singing your praises with our reporter Tim Cruz out on the water earlier on, just saying how impressive a performance it has been. What are your feelings?
Yeah, incredible. We came here just with the goal to perform the way we can, and not even a classification goal. And winning the whole event is just insane.
What made you guys so good?
I think it's just the way we started out of trouble all the time. Like, we never got caught anywhere, stayed out of trouble, tried to catch the puffs, the gusts, and take the shifts in the right direction. I think this was the key in this weekend.
How important is it to keep the momentum in the boat, to keep it moving in these super light conditions?
Super important. I think it's really difficult, especially when you run out of pressure. But the key was to stay patient, not to panic, don't do panic maneuvers if you don't have the speed, and just keep going and wait for the next pressure to come in.
And just a word about your crew, really. You know, Anna, Hannah, and Lisa Maria.
Yeah, incredible. My sister Anna was really, really good this weekend. Insane on the Cheneker. Great communication and tactics. And the 2 girls in the front. We never had any issue with dropping the kite, putting it up, any chives. There was, I think, no messed up maneuver at all. And yeah, just great job by them.
But what a story. Hannah Ziegler on your boat, 22 years old. She took a break from sailing to pursue her skiing career, made the top 5 in Austria at youth level, which is, I mean, we're talking Austria.
You need to be competitive.
You need to be very good. And this is her first regatta back since then.
Yeah, she was not sailing at all. She was sailing a little bit, but I think it's just the way that she knows how a competition works. She is a really good fighter. She always continues to work, never gives up. Really good mentally for the crew, and that's definitely a strength.
I have one more question. I assume that you were a team that was on the light side, weight-wise. Do you think that made a difference? Did you look at the Hellerup Sail Club? Was that also one of the lighter teams? Or do you think, no, that's not quite the deciding factor?
We were definitely light, and I think it was for sure no disadvantage. In the straight line, downwind especially, I think it gave us a little bit of an edge sometimes to get that 1 meter. That was crucial. I honestly have no idea how heavy the guys from Hellerup are, but they did an insane weekend, actually a lot better than us today. But yeah, in the end we were lucky.
We're probably going to be off air before the prize-giving ceremony happens, so we're showing you some great pictures of the trophy that you have won. I don't know if that's your first view of it, but it's very heavy, it's very shiny, and look, those glass mountains represent the mountains around the lake. Isn't that fabulous?
Very beautiful, very beautiful.
So, how did you find sailing on the lake? Enjoy it? It was difficult, but
on the end, I
it?
enjoyed it. It was really hard, really difficult to stay calm all the time. But yeah, in the end, a great weekend for us. Couldn't imagine it any better, and hope to come back next year.
Does it compare to Matsee, where you're from?
Kind of. It's a little bit similar, but yeah, you can say it's similar.
Now, let's just have a look at the overall leaderboard, just to confirm before we go who the top 16 are, who qualify for the final in Sardinia later this month. So there are our winners. The top 10 all go through, and it's the top 16. So the cut-off were the Lithuanians from GVK. They just picked it on 41 points ahead of the Finns, who will be gutted because they won the last race that in the end was abandoned. So congratulations to our top 16 teams, who will join the top 14 from Act 1 from St. Petersburg, and they will meet at the end of the month in Portocervo, the exotic, glamorous Portocervo in Sardinia. And tell me, Stefan, how do you see that competition panning out? So what sort of conditions are you expecting, and do they suit you?
I heard, I've never been there, that it's a strong wind venue, but last year they told me that it was pretty light. So actually always expect anything and bring your glove for every wind that can happen. And then we're just going to see what happens.
Now, you kind of gave me an answer like that on Friday about, well, we just want to qualify. We don't know what's going to happen. So come on, what do you really want to achieve? Do you think you can win it in Sardinia?
I wouldn't go that far, to be honest. I think we just, especially if it's strong wind, I think we're a really light crew, so we're going to suffer a little bit. And yeah, just sail the way we did this weekend and keep consistent, and then we're going to see what comes out in the end.
Okay, you and Marcus can now spend the next half an hour geeking out at all the data that's come off the boats to see how you could improve, and people at home can also do that.
Of course, just go to sapsailing.com. All the data is there. You can learn a lot about sailing. Many events that are happening around the world that people can follow, and you can always delve back into the data and see how races actually evolved.
Okay, and that is it from us. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. We've had some fascinating racing. But from now, from glorious, sunny and snow-dusted St. Moritz, it's goodbye. Well done.